Welcome, everybody, to Minecraft Monday. We are here for week number 2, and of course, we're live from the UMG studio. It's myself, Lennon Lano Sanders, on hand, joined by Mr. Taylor Reflections Noble and 9 Whole Grains. Guys, like we said, we have another week of Minecraft action. I could not be more excited. How are we feeling with the new pairs, the new people added, even some new maps thrown in there as well?
Always excited to be back, of course, on the couch casting for you all out there. Minecraft, bringing back some action. It's going to be exciting. I know we have a lot of familiar faces, some new faces as well, some mega stars, if you will, some YouTubers coming in.
For sure.
And we'll go through that in a little bit. But 9, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. From the competitive aspect of all this, too, I'm glad, as you mentioned, we are shuffling up some of the players. I know by the end, it was really kind of a 3-horse race, maybe even a 2-horse race. That will not be the case this time.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? We'll be mentioning a few of those teams here in just a moment, but we want to let you guys know exactly how the scoring system is going to work. So if you're kind of curious in terms of how are these points going to be earned, we already have those up on for you right here. Eliminations will earn you 10 points a pop. If you get a victory, you'll earn 30 points. A top 2 placement will earn you 20. Top 3 placement will earn you 10, and surviving will earn you 2 score per. And that's essentially when a team ends up getting eliminated. Everyone else who stays alive ends up earning points. And points are also evenly distributed if both players are alive. Otherwise, those points are awarded to the surviving teammate. And most points combined for the 2 teammates after 10 games, rather 9 games for today, will be your champion. And if you guys end up, kind of getting a little bit confused over time, no worries, right? You can feel free to use exclamation point rules in chat for the full rule list. Now, also a few quick little details about the games. Essentially, for those who may be curious, we are going to be playing with middle chests possessing no weapons. Only food, potions, and armor are going to be granted in those first few. After 5 minutes, the barrier will begin to form and close in. And around 12.5 minutes, the storm will be at its closing point. So once that time is reached, that's when everyone's pretty much back in spawn, and those are when the final fights are going to form. We are playing with supply drops on, and those obviously do possess some great loot, but you never know where they're going to be at, and chests will refill after 10 minutes. So guys, like we said, somewhat of a similar kind of fit in terms of how the overall scoring system is looking along with the game details. But let's go ahead and take a look at our participants, aka our teams for today. And first on screen, we've got our first 10, some very solid ones to be looking out for. I'll be honest though, guys, in my eyes, looking past the very first team would be a disrespect. We've got James, Charles, and PewDiePie together. What a combination this is. All things, YouTube. In fact, with the number of different storylines that were kind of going on with YouTube over the last few months, it's interesting to see that these guys are paired up together. This is going to be fun, and I'm curious how much James Charles and even how much PewDiePie has been playing some Minecraft. I know, Taylor, you were talking to me a little bit about PewDiePie's channel, how much he's been uploading about it, but my questions still are a little bit there for James Charles.
Yeah, we don't know too much whenever it comes to James Charles' gaming skills, but, I mean, hey, he might be able to come out there and go big in the end with PewDiePie, but it's going to be a matter of how many eliminations can they get. It's always going to be fun. I think that's going to be one of the most entertaining teams to watch, minus Nick 28T and Nepithans, of course. Those guys are always hiding out there, and I'm curious to see what the skins they're going to be rocking. But I kind of want to talk about a team. Team number 4, and this one is going to be my favorite, my choice to win the entire thing, Vicstar and Mr. Savage. Vicstar obviously playing so incredibly well last week with Pizza Hut, scoring a total of 858 points in second place, just behind TechnoPig as well as Shotgun Raids. But I will say, though, Mr. Savage, I wanted to see him play last week. Sad he didn't get to make it, but this week playing in it, right? Mr. Savage, Benjifish, the duo whenever it comes to Fortnite, and Mr. Savage is one of the dominant players in Fortnite. Can he bring that savageness over to Minecraft? Well, I got to say, I am excited to see him play with Vicstar. It's going to be a solid duo. And mind you, though, Mr. Savage has played Minecraft quite a bit in the past, so I expect a lot out of him.
Yeah, he's got a history with it in 9 as well. Right? We talked about the kind of defending champions are split up. What we got Techno and Shotgun on different teams, what Team 3 and Team 8. It looks as if Techno, I believe, will be playing with iBallistic Squid, while on the other end, Shotgun's playing with Log.Zip, who happened to be Captain Sparkle's teammate. What do you kind of make about those 2 pairings being split off for this week?
Well, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would still not bet against Techno no matter who the teammate is. And iBallistic Squid does have some Minecraft experience, actually a Minecraft YouTuber once upon a time. Recently opened up a server as well, so you know that that's going to be someone who's experienced with it. But speaking of experience, Log.Zip, as you mentioned, when we were going through the notes, we put down Minecraft OG for Log.Zip. And anytime you get someone with lots of experience and put them with a champion, a returning champion in Shotgun Raids, as you mentioned, the partner of Techno the Pig, you are going to get a strong combination of players, and I think that's really what it's going to take to win today. It's got to be the power of both, because if one goes down, your capacity for getting points goes so far down.
But I got to say, though, look at team number 5, right? Bayesian Canadian Mitch coming out playing with Lackland. I'm kind of sad, the Marome duo isn't going to be playing this week after getting their 3rd place finish in week number 1 behind Vigstar and Pizza Hut and Technopig and Shotgun Raids. But I got to say, though, Lackland joining in the mix is probably going to be pretty entertaining. And on top of that, that's a solid duo that might make it pretty far as well. But I do like the fact that we are mixing things up, because last week, the skill gap was pretty big, I would have to say. So now I think this week is going to be a little bit more even.
Yeah, I know we were kind of talking about it in the commercial, or rather not in the commercial break, but kind of in the pre-show in terms of like, hey, which teams are going to be looking the best, and now that they're kind of split up, how are things going to be looking? But let's go and talk about, or rather, our next few teams, Team 11 through Team 19. Like we said, some new names, maybe even some ones that are split up. But I got to say, guys, one of my favorite teams on this list is Team 15, Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom. I used to watch a ton of Ant Venom videos back in the day, and I will say you can't have a Minecraft tournament without one of the OGs as well, right? So in combination with Captain Sparkles, it's going to be a lot of fun. I know, like, in terms of how last week turned out, Captain Sparkles, a lot of kind of hype was around him. He didn't have the greatest placement. I think it was around like the top 8 margin. So I know he'll want to improve, but I think it's going to be fun to watch those guys kind of combine together. Anybody else that kind of sticks off the page, Taylor? I know you already mentioned Team 17, Nick 2018, and the Penthes. The FIFA boys, they were hiding out. They had some strategies,
Yes,
but
they were.
Maybe they can improve this week. Who knows?
Yeah, honestly, Team 18 for me is going to be my favorite team to watch out for. And I think this is going to be a surprise team that might surprise us all and place very well. And the only reason why I say that, it's one of the 2 duos that stayed together from week 1 now into week 2. They're going to have that team chemistry down, and they also placed 7th last week. So I think staying together this week is going to give them a huge advantage. Like I said, team chemistry is massive, and they're going to have plenty of that. So I expect a lot from them. And to be quite honest with you, we could probably see them as a top 3 team this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I got to say, though, one team in particular, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this one, because I'm the one who sometimes asks the questions. My dark horse team, which was I was getting ready to allude to, I think it might be Team 19 a little bit. I'm kind of throwing out something. This is a consistent team. 9, you were bringing it up. It's a matter of both players kind of being in combination together. If you have a new teammate, you don't really know how things are going to work out. So these guys, they have consistency, right? I believe they placed 7th together last week. So I know they kind of have a history in Minecraft playing with each other. Obviously, last week it's going to be kind of important. So I'm looking out for Quackity and Junkie Janker. They were having some solid performances, and I felt like a lot of the time we saw them alive kind of toward the end game. So I think that could be a factor.
We did, but if we're talking survival, there's a team that hasn't been mentioned yet. Skeppy hiding out in the mountain there, teaming up with Jack Sucks at Life. You talk about a dark horse team. Quietly, Jack Sucks at Life last time placed 4th, and then Skeppy, as we all know, placed 5th, stayed alive there all the way till the very end. So that does mean they have experience, maybe not necessarily playing together, but getting into that top 5 area.
Right.
And I think that, again, having 2 players who have reached that level before and have stuck together in that way, I think that's going to be a big one for them. They are my dark horse team today.
I like that. Okay. I got to say, like, when we were looking at, well, I forget what map, I think it was Wyvern, right toward the end. It was like a matter of the entire game was just highlighted on the ability to kind of camo yourself, to kind of switch those skins. And I want to say it was him earlier on in the event was asking, like, typing in chat. He was like, "Can I leave for a second, guys?" And everyone was like, why is he wanting to leave? We know exactly why he was wanting to leave. He wanted to change his skin to match the stone that existed just behind him. But a quick little update in terms of maps. Obviously, bringing that up, I want to give you guys somewhat of an update. Now, I believe we are going to be having one practice game, which is going to be played on Highway. But in terms of the overall map list, we are going to be playing 9. We're starting off things on Wyvern. So when we're going back to the Dragons, I know I'm looking at the Observer to get all those amazing perspectives like we got last week. We've got Par 72 for Game 2, SG4 for Game 3, Teweran 2 for Game 4, Factory for Game 5, Military for Game 6, and we're going to be able to see Breezy actually in the official rotation here for Game 7, Coliseum for Game 8, and rounding things out on Alaskan for Game 9. So I like the map set that we've got. We were talking last week about, oh my gosh, like, look at all the boat warfare. When you're off in the seas, you're kind of doing a lot of work. And like I said, the maps play totally different. Like we were discussing and talking about all the strategies that kind of exist. I mean, if you can get on a boat on a certain map, and I know we'll have that experience at least with Breezy, it's going to be fun to kind of watch that dynamic kind of play out, which teams are doing what. And I forget who the player was. It might have been like Shotgun or someone who managed to like take a boat and escape off in the distance, which was fun.
That was Pizza. That was Pizza Pizza Hut.
Okay, yeah. Which was always fun because like we had no idea like what was really going to go down in the first game, and the fact that we saw someone pretty much hijack a boat in GTA, themselves out of there was fun. You never know what's going to happen in Minecraft, that's for sure. So I'm excited.
I think that was Mitch actually who was chasing them.
It might have been, yeah.
Because I remember earlier on it was Vicstar and Pizza Hut who were chasing Mitch and Jerome a little bit earlier, and then the roles were reversed, I think, in the next map. So that was always fun to watch. But it is interesting to see how the strategy kind of developed throughout the games, right? Because at first everybody started off very slow, very passive. We also saw a lot of activity going straight to the middle, right? Getting that armor, getting those, whether it be whatever was in the middle, whether it be hills or whatever. But the point was, as the game started progressing, we would only see then 2 teams would start to go towards the middle and kind of prioritize the middle chest. The rest of the teams would try and run away, and they wanted to prioritize getting distance as well as getting a weapon relatively early on. And so it was interesting to kind of see that dynamic, and as well as just kind of how things change. But a lot of the maps do provide different things, whether it's water, elevation. I know that was a big thing you kind of highlighted on. Elevation was a big difference.
Right, and we saw a couple really nasty splats there that as people just kind of fell down and got knocked off there, you got to be careful up there. That really adds a different level of maneuverability, a different level of risk. And we've been talking about Breezy, some of the highest peaks as well as Wyverns. There's going to be a ton of places that people can go up there and hide. But I'm glad that you pointed out that as time went along, people started trying to avoid each other a little more. Because really, the time that we saw Vicstar and Pizza Hut start to lose their lead, it was around the time that they started running into Mitch and Jerome a lot. Meanwhile, Techno and Shotgun, they kind of went off. They're like, you two fight. We'll go do our own thing here. We'll come back in the mid game. So I'm interested in seeing if that is the way that these top teams try to play it, if that's an intentional strategy, or if they try to go about it a different way.
Yeah, because I feel like in game 1, it was everyone went toward the middle chest. By like game 6, there was like 4 people. It was like okay, like I think we were at like Coliseum and no one is there except for like 3 people. So like I said, I'm curious to see the dynamic, what the aggressiveness looks like in comparison to the passive play. Like I said, the dynamic from game 1, or rather you could say, in terms of game 9. It was a lot different how everything was played, the aggressiveness, everything that kind of combines for it. But I will say, in your guys' opinions, in terms of the way the strategies look, are we thinking, would we prefer to try to avoid the middle? Because, like I said, if no one's going there, how much loot do you have if you're one of those 3 people, or one of those 2 teams, rather, who went there? Do you think that maybe off the break, if there weren't as many teams, do you want to try to join that fight, get away, try to find weapons? Or do you want to try to specialize in all the fun stuff, all the armor, all the potions, all the extra things?
Honestly, I think the better strategy is you need to run away. You need to go, and I know that sounds counterintuitive because you want to get right in the mix and you want to get that free loot in the middle, but with there being no weapons there, you can go in, you can get your shields and hills, but the problem is once you rotate out, you run the risk of running into a team who's already kitted up, ready to go, who found armor themselves, who found healing themselves, as well as a weapon, and you're not going to be able to compete with that. You're then going to be, trying to run away, and it's going to be a game of hide and seek at that point, right? Trying to just, distance yourself. So I think getting away is extremely crucial. What do you think?
Everything that you just said, I'm going to echo. I think that is the most important part. Running away at the start, you will find players, right? There are enough players. You will eventually get yours. You will find your weapons. But in last week's game, I believe it was game 4 or game 3, one of the 2, we saw our top team, Techno and Shotgun, actually scored 0 on a map because they didn't get away quick enough. I think after that they learned. They didn't score less than 100 any other map after that. So I think, find your spot, set up there, get some gear. But again, there are walking loot chests in the form of other players. So you will find more gear as time goes along.
So if you're learning, or rather, if we can take anything from the defending champions, I think that might be the golden strategy, unless anyone can try to prove us otherwise. Like we said, they are split up. We tried to make sure the bracket, or rather the teams, wouldn't be so top-heavy, so they are going to be having a few different teammates, but it definitely is going to throw a few things into the mix. But in terms of one of the most exciting teams that is going to be playing today, I know we talked on it a little bit, right? James Charles in combination with PewDiePie. This is going to be fun. It's one of the biggest video game collaborations that we've had in a very, very long time. I know James Charles doesn't necessarily come from the video game scene, at least on YouTube. He's kind of more on the makeup side of things, but I'm excited to see their kind of dynamic together. Like I said, we're not too familiar with like James Charles's overall history in Minecraft. I know he's kind of become a thing. I think he's been trying to stream a little bit. I know he's talked about maybe making his own like gaming channel on YouTube or something. So he's definitely wanting to dabble on it. But my curiosity is that is there any history behind that? Is there any depth coming into it, or is it his first entrance, or rather his first interest into it? That's kind of like my question. And we all know PewDiePie, at least in his history, comes from Minecraft.
Sure,
I think one of his first few videos happened to be Minecraft. So I feel a lot more confident for PewDiePie in terms of this game rather than Fortnite. But what are we thinking? what are we thinking about this duo, right?
I was going to bring that up because in a previous week in Friday Fortnite, I believe week number 2, we had PewDiePie play with Ninja,
Right.
and obviously PewDiePie, he knows Fortnite, but he doesn't play Fortnite. Yeah. So watching him play Fortnite was hysterical. It was a beautiful sight to see, and I know you guys probably enjoyed it if you got to see it yourself. But I think it's going to be much the same here. Now all of a sudden PewDiePie has become the Ninja of Minecraft, if you will, for this duo,
right.
playing with now James Charles, and now James Charles is in the position PewDiePie was in when he was playing with Ninja
James
for
Charles
Fortnite.
just to come out and just know everything,
Which
right?
is a possibility, right? He is young, obviously. Us young people, we love to play video games, so he loves to play video games, I could only assume. And with him wanting to do a gaming channel, you can only think. But I do assume this is a practice round.
based on how many, right?
Based on how many times we saw. But this is one of my favorite maps. I know, Landon, you love this map yourself.
Yeah, I'm really a big fan of Highway. I do like this map a lot. I think it provides a lot of interesting kind of gameplay. I think Beijing Canadian has talked about why this is one of his favorite game modes is just because of the different amount of locations, and obviously Highway exists kind of throughout the middle portion of the map. There's a number of different chests that you can find in those vehicles and whatnot, so I'm excited. But like you said, guys, if you couldn't already tell, we actually have a new spectator mode. I'm liking this, right? Kind of our first-person perspective. We're actually taking a look at James Charles to kind of break things off. Like I said, he is going to be playing with PewDiePie, so we'll be able to watch him come up soon. But this is, in fact, a warm-up game. And like I said, we also got some updates in terms of the right side of the screen. So we got people who have the best score right now, best gear, most eliminations. Those will be kind of changing over time. So this is great. I love to see the improvements that we're already making. But unfortunately, Wubby's already taken down to start off our practice matchup.
And then that's really disappointing. Shotgun takes him out. And obviously, if you're looking at Shotgun, right, winner from last week playing with Techno, it makes sense in that 1v1. But like I said, that is going to be my dark horse team. I think Pay, Money, Wubby, as well as Wolfless will be able to come through big and maybe surprise us all at top 3. But I do like the spectator mode. I'm glad you brought that up because, the server team has been working very hard to kind of improve the viewing experience. We have first person, also free cam, third person as well. We'll be able to see the inventory and a couple of other things. But I got to say, it is a beautiful thing to see. Now, James Charles. We've got a bow and arrow so far. We have some hills as well, but we need to get a sword in that inventory, buddy.
We definitely do. That'd be beneficial, 9.
It would be, and I think this shows, again, the players who are comfortable and understand these maps. They've kind of been running around the same few trees. It's like one of those scenes where, wait a minute, how many times have we seen that tree before?
Yeah, right.
Did we leave any breadcrumbs, or are we still stuck in the labyrinth here? And we see here much the same from the teammate, wielding a ferocious piece of chicken.
Yes.
Again, still not a lot here, but we can hope. Oh, they're shuffling some stuff around here.
Okay.
I like this, trying to get some weapons as we try to equip them. So it looks like James Charles actually knows a little more here. I saw doing the, if you jump under a tree and it's only 2 blocks high, you can actually speed up.
Yeah.
And we saw James Charles doing that here. So James Charles might be the experienced one of the duos.
It might be, yeah.
It's actually funny because I think he just handed PewDiePie his only weapon, too. He's like,
he?
hey, PewDiePie, you can have my bow and arrow. I'm just going to kind of chill out. But this worries me, right? Big Star's already got a sword, bow and arrow. He's working on the gold. He's kitted up fairly well. And we know Vicstar, right? He can play. He knows his way around some Hunger Games. And paired with Mr. Savage, I expect quite a bit out of them. And they are on the hunt, Landon.
Yeah, it looks as if we're already taking a look at that kill feed bottom left. Ant Venom just does take down Dolan Dark. And unfortunately, we're going to be able to watch that head now. Sparkles goes for the little bit of extra HP from it. And we're already starting to see fights breaking down. S Major getting ready to take down James Charles, and PewDiePie has to hit some clutch shots. No! He tried. Sub to PewDiePie 12. 96 million just wasn't enough, guys.
Oh, no. That is so unfortunate. The duo is gone. Luckily, it's only a practice round. But you got to be thinking if they had a sword, maybe things would have been a little bit different. But bow and arrow isn't going to be enough, unfortunately, especially when the team was armored up. Not a lot you can do there.
I'm just imagining, like, in that moment, PewDiePie is like, I missed a few shots, cracks the knuckles, just kind of winds back a little bit. It was just a practice game. It's no big deal. It's fine.
You think he's wearing the meme glasses, though?
I'm sure he probably is. I hope he is.
So then I have a question for you two. If you are a team that doesn't know these maps as well as the others and you can't rely on escaping to a nice little treasure trove, is that the time where you say, okay, you know what, maybe we should stick around the middle. Let's get some gear here while we still can?
I mean, absolutely. I kind of talked about it earlier, or at least last week, right? That's why I was a huge fan of Nick 28T as well as Nepethans, because I love their style of just hiding. Yeah, you're not going to win that way, but if you don't know how to play the game, you might as well hide it out, right? And then going towards the middle, getting some hills and shields, kind of backing off, as well as hiding towards the middle, because the circle's going to be collapsing down there, right? The zone will. So at that point in time, hey, being in the middle, not a bad thing to do, but we have a nice fight going down here. Shotgun, right? Last week's winner fighting it out, and I thought I saw an Ender Pearl being used. Teammate getting up ahead, and Bayesian Canadian Mitch, he's got to run away. He's only down to 3 hearts.
So he does have that flint and steel, though. Just try. I think, that last hit, unfortunately, is going to render it useless. Does have the diamond sword, and he might have a 3P coming in. This might be Vic and Log.Zip who are going to save his life, but then they realize, hey, Bajan's pretty weak. We might want to go for him. It was kind of a bait-and-switch situation, and unfortunately, Bajan could not get the best of it. And I will say, I want to mention, I think Vicstar did have that Ender Pearl in his inventory previously. So if they really need to, they can take him down. But look at that, chest just refilled. That back kind of portion, rather the center portion of the map is now going to be a very hot zone. I want to grab supply drops as well. And like I said, Vicstar, Log.Zip, they know who they want to go for now.
Speedy sidearms are gone. Legion is crying.
He is. He is not. He's not the happiest camper about that one.
And one of the things I do enjoy about this map is we see people ducking and diving all throughout the cars. The name Highway is very fitting here. Reminds me a little bit of Highway 270. That's a joke for all the local folk here. But again, because in a lot of other maps, going to the middle can be very open and barren. Here, going to the middle isn't always the death trap that it sometimes looks. I know Bajan Canadian's not in the best of positions right now, but he's been able to escape and survive this long just because they were able to duck and dive through all the cars. Now, there we go. Does go down eventually. You know it's going to happen when this team is chasing you.
Sure.
But it does work to an interesting dynamic, I think, and it's one of the reasons why I love the map list that we have so much is because every map does feel like you have to approach it a little differently.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Like when we were kind of bringing that up, too, it's like a matter of, like, hey, each map feels different, in terms of, like, the way the middle even works. It's so much more kind of, I was going to say a little bit different. Unfortunately, I think Phil might have been caught out there, even tossing out a few snowballs from Dan and Think Noodles. They want to try to go for their opportunity, and I'm not sure if they took a player down, if they just disconnected, maybe they disappeared, maybe even Ender Pearl, who knows. But regardless, though, like you mentioned, like the middle plays a lot different. Even on certain maps, like it requires you to do parkour just to escape from the middle side of it.
Absolutely. And navigation is crucial, right? Being able to navigate through the foliage is absolutely massive. And going back to your point about Mitch, right? Just kind of trying to survive running in the open. I mean, for each team you do survive over it, you get an additional 2 points. For top 3, you get 10. For top 2, you get 20. So there is a real, urgency to kind of survive, because if you do so, you can gain a lot of points by virtually doing nothing.
Taking a look right now. We haven't really talked about this much today, but for people who do not know, there is something called enchantments here in Minecraft. The ones that you're most commonly going to see are sharpness for the swords, power for the bow and arrows, and then I believe it's toughness for the armor. All of those very important here, and that's why you'll see people throwing potions down at their feet. It is to give themselves a little bit of experience so that they can go and get those enchantments there, because that can turn a lot, right? We talked earlier, if you don't have a diamond sword, if you are able to enchant an iron sword, it's just as good, if not better. So there are always options to kit yourself out even as you get into the late game.
Look at Mr. Savage, man. He is continually taking down players.
Did I not call it, Landon?
I mean, you did. I got to say, though, I mean, I think we were kind of all on the bus about them a little bit. But regardless, though, like I said, Savage, he didn't get to play last week, and he is, as you mentioned, living up to his Savage name. The puns are everywhere. Who knows? But like I said, I think he's found at least 3 players, I want to say already. I know we took down Captain Sparkles, just took down Ant Venom, and maybe on the hunt for a few more, but we already know Vicstar is a talented one. It's not just a matter of like, how is Vicstar going to play? No, he was without question in the top 2 discussion of overall teams. They won 3 games along with he and Pizza Hut, so they're a talented squad, and they could be one to reckon with. If other players aren't careful, that might be a team who continually is highlighted.
And you look on your right, there's a couple of different informations that you can be looking at. Most elims right now, Mr. Savage, as you pointed out, best gear, Mr. Savage as well. So, hey, if you're getting the most elims, obviously you have your pick at the best gear on the map, so it makes sense. But interestingly enough, Lauren is going to have the top score despite maybe not having the most elims or maybe even the best gear. So that's quite interesting to see. I'm wondering how she's getting all of the score.
That's a good question. And another team that we had mentioned earlier that we're talking about is we see a fight right here. A very nasty fight. Some TNT going down. An arrow just narrowly missing as the chase goes down there. You can see right now trying to head him off is Real Think Noodles. as they try to navigate through the foliage to escape. But we also saw on the other side, shotgun plays and log.zip were also fully kitted out. And so often in that last game, it would come down to the end with 2 or 3 of the top teams fully kitted out at the end. Those are the fights that we're going to want to be watching.
Well, yeah, for sure, right? I mean, in terms of like the amount of loot that you can get, we were even talking about like kind of toward the end game. It's like, how does Vicstar and how does Pizza Hut or even Shotgun and Co. like at the end game, like how do they have all of this loot? Like how do they have all of these things? It's because it took down everybody else in the server. So like you only get like how many things that we talk about other BRs, like how you can have so much resources in Fortnite or how many bullets you can have, for example, in other games. It's kind of works out to a similar extent, but it looks as if right now Junkie Janker Quackity maybe on the run, and I'm not sure exactly who we have on screen at the moment, but they're clearly not exactly wanting to engage upon this. It may be a factor of their chainmail armor, but it's surrounded by enchanted and some iron as well. So this definitely could be a very sneaky competitor, and it is going to be Shotgun. And log.zip just behind. I was going to say, this has to be a very solid player, one that has to be scary, and he gets stuck just on the entryway. Shotgun takes down Quackity. And my goodness, I will say, if you're in that situation, if you're the teammate, you're like, sorry, man, I got to get out of here. I cannot stay whenever these two guys are on the hunt for us.
And here comes the zone, right? This is something that we kind of have to talk about. In other BRs, you never know how that zone's going to work. But let me tell you, the zone hits really hard. I believe it's 1 heart per tick, right? So that is quite a bit. You definitely have to be running away from it. And even if you have to run into opponents, it's kind of the risk you have to take. But log.zip, he's now going to be on the run. In the meantime, though, Major is going to be attacking. And this is a nice dynamic for the fight. And you got to be thinking, is Major's teammate up? But in the meantime, Shotgun comes through with the sneak. And Major is potentially going to go down. And, he does get dropped, unfortunately, by Shotgun. But Shotgun tearing it up. He's a beast.
Oh, he absolutely
and
is,
he has
right?
the most elims now.
It's impressive. Like I said, Shotgun log.zip quickly becoming maybe one of the favorites to look out for, at least in terms of the practice game. You could easily argue that, looking throughout the middle portion of the map, and there is going to be someone just off toward the bumper of one of the vehicles. But like I said, the surrounding middle portion should treat us kindly. Only 5 players do remain, 4 teams overall, and we know the one team that exists toward the middle has got to be feeling very confident, maybe even going for a few enchantments most likely at this time, but they're feeling good. You even see those potions kind of moving around them, and based off what we see from log.zip, right, he's got 3 ender pearls, he's even got the player tracker compass. They've got everything to most likely walk away with this matchup.
They do, but there is another team left up here. You see the best gear still belongs to the person who is on the screen right now, Mr. Savage. That is an enchanted sword. There's some cake, a nice bow and arrow as well. How are they going to approach from this position? This might be a bow fight here. And I got to say, with a bow from this position, if you're accurate, which you would imagine Mr. Savage is going to be from all that experience in Fortnite as you talked about, this may be a pretty good spot to hole up, although, again, this is only a practice round. We'll see if they give away all the tricks this early.
Oh, and Junkie Janker, unfortunately, maybe in an awkward spot. Log is on the run, and unfortunately, snowballs are not going to help out. Well, why not try to use some TNT? Tries to block him off, and I will say maybe somewhat using the extra player here, and Mr. Savage to his benefit, but Mr. Savage is having none of that. Maybe even tries to lock him in toward that TNT placement, still hanging on toward this 18-wheeler. And he's not convinced that he wants to move. And actually, just as I say that, though, he might have his chance. He might try to come on the flank and maybe take one of them down. But like we said, Junkie Janker, awkward spot, and should be dropped if he's not careful. Even extra bow shots coming through. And Phil wants to get involved. Junkie, as the zone starts to move in, pretty much gets shut down. Another fight going through. Phil on the back lines getting double teamed. And now this might be Mr. Savage's chance. He realizes he has to do it now. Trying to get these players just off inside of the zone. Outside in the barrier. And we'll see how this fight breaks through. And he does end up losing it. So low on hearts. You see that 0.07 for log.zip. Guys, that's going to be a fun fight to watch over time as these two teams just continue to destroy. Like we said, it will be a victory in the end. But when Mr. Savage had to do the work, he made some plays happen. You got to give him some props for that.
Yeah, not bad. Shotgun not slowing down from last week. Obviously, his partner's looking on like, man, I wish I was still playing with him. But, hey, that is a very impressive feat to say the least. Despite it being a warm-up round, right, it does show something Shotgun obviously is going to have at least the lobby to himself. Mr. Savage, though, very impressive, taking Shotgun on by himself. You can only imagine if he would have been able to get that elim. That would have been a big deal, right, and then force it to a 1v1. But I think we are going to see a lot more from them.
I gotta say what, I mean, at least in my opinion, the top two teams that I looked at were probably Vikkstar, Mr. Savage, and Shotgun along Dotson. Is there anyone else that we think may be kind of early risers, some people who could be in contention for that, that top position? I know we have some teams that got dropped down a little bit early. I think one of my sleeper squads, ended up getting stuck on the foliage just outside of the main highway area, so got cut off on the interstate in traffic and really couldn't make a whole lot happen. But is there any other teams that we're thinking could maybe make somewhat of a presence involved in that top 4, top 5?
Well, again,
it's hard to tell after the
It is, and
game,
it's only
right?
one game, and it's important to note that any team is capable of going down early if one of their people gets caught off in a very unfortunate situation.
Sure.
And I think that's what happened to Techno and Ballistic Squid in that game. I believe Ballistic Squid went down very quickly. Techno was stuck in 1 versus 40.
Yeah.
Everyone gunning after the champion. That is where the title is. So I think that that's something important to note. I'm still looking at that team, but I agree. The two teams that we thought would be the last two were the last two in that game.
Yeah, I think at least in our conversations pregame, we were probably bringing up both of these teams, obviously with a few extra ones, but these two teams weren't going to be left by any means. So, But with that, guys, I believe we're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we obviously are going to be starting off game number 1 here of Minecraft Monday week number 2. We'll be right back right after this.
Miles of fire, I'm losing ground, and in the flashing, my world comes crashing down. I'm left in nowhere, no place to hide, out in the open, like ashes in the sky. I quit the illusion.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday. Like we said, we are here for week number 2. We just finished up our practice game and saw some teams that we probably thought would kind of be in that last fight, kind of be in that last conversation. But, of course, it is Landon Lano Sanders live here from the UMG studio, joined in part by Mr. Taylor Reflections Noble and Mr. Nine-Hole Grains. Like we said, guys, just finished our first practice game. We did see, like I said, a victor that we kind of expected to end up taking it in the end, Shotgun and Log.Zip. But we saw a few worthy competitors. We got to see James Charles and PewDiePie doing some work, and they kind of surprised us a little bit. We were talking, PewDiePie probably going to be leading the conversation. It kind of wasn't that way. It was actually James Charles who was handing out loot, handing him out some items.
Yeah, it definitely was. But I'm so sad they didn't get a sword because things could have been much different in that situation. But it's a matter of breaking out from those initial chests, right? Getting a good route. And knowing the maps is crucial and important.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But obviously, they're doing a lot more than just playing Minecraft, so they don't have the much knowledge whenever it comes to the Hunger Games map. So hopefully they'll be able to break out. And there is more elevation here, a lot more places to go to. So that is going to be a good start. But let's get it going. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first official game. Mr. Savage is just on your screen, and James Charles here, he's going to be breaking out and did decide to go in. Got some arrows. That's going to be crucial, especially pushing forward. And I gotta hope, right? PewDiePie is right behind to provide some backup, but hopefully they can find a chest. Couple teams next to him, and they didn't get that chest, so that is going to hurt them, I think.
Yeah, we talked earlier about how important it is to get gear early and start moving on from there. It's also important to not jump off sides there, as we saw one do right there. That's going to be some nice damage that you wouldn't want to take this early in the game. But it's true. You have to be efficient as you go about. Like you said, your routes. It's like we talk about rotations sometimes. If you're stuck in one area and not accomplishing something, it's going to take too long. As Nick 28T dies to fire, that's got to be
probably trying to hide in the fire.
Grandy just fell off the map.
What is going on?
We talked about it when players dramatically improve from week 1 to week 2. Based off game 1, we can argue that maybe not as much as we would have liked, but hanging up top, Quackity low on overall hearts as he might be in the process of trying to run away. And yeah, I think when he checked just behind him, there was no one there. But now there's the swing. There it happens, and he ends up getting taken down. And it was Captain Sparkles who drops him. So we were kind of talking about it, right? One of the OGs, one of the Minecraft legends, right, is Mr. Captain Sparkles. And he clearly showed very well when it came down to that first practice game. And that's a good way to start off. Getting that first kind of elim under yourself is going to be nice. It's going to create some confidence underneath you as well. But still, to no avail, players already being taken off the map, and even some to some fall damage. And Ant Venom, actually Captain Sparkle's teammate, maybe taking one down as well.
That's good. That's good, especially from last week, right? They finished at 298 points, or at least talking in regards to Captain Sparkles. I wanted a better performance from him. We didn't get to see it in week 1. Week 2 might be different, being paired from Log.Zip over now to Ant Venom, and obviously starting off strong with 2 elims, getting you some points. Not a bad way to start the round off.
Taking a look now, we have the team that we talked about, Vicstar and Mr. Savage. Reasonably well kitted up there. That is an iron chest plate and some gold rest of the gear.
No, PewDiePie!
Fire! No! Why is it that every time I try to talk, someone goes down to fire and someone goes down to fall? Am I cursed? Is that what this is?
We need to write this down. So what, 4 players have accidentally eliminated themselves.
So wait, either by fire or fall.
Does that mean that the map is winning in elims right now?
It could be.
I think
it might have the
right
most
now.
elims.
Yeah. Great work,
That's
man.
impressive. Great work, Wyverns. We had no idea that you were capable of such incredibleness, but you clearly are. And it looks as if Wolfless does take down a Tozy. So another one granted for the actual player base. Fortunately, the map can't find that one. But you notice potions being planted down. Wolfless will be able to grab those along with his teammate, as they are not interested in wanting to get involved in that fight. I'm not sure who was kind of across the pond, but they were not interested in wanting to fight for the time. And Stone Sword, some decent items, nothing that's overall crazy. Actually sitting pretty well when it comes down to the overall food situation, which is going to be nice. But switching now back toward Vicstar and Co., like we talked about, one of the most dominant teams, at least when it came down to the pre-match and the warm-ups. Still looking for a little bit better of loot. But Stone Swords, like I said, these guys know how to make it work, even tossing out a few things to each other. They should be in a better spot as long as they continue to loot out the way that they have been.
I'm just a little worried for James Charles. I mean, PewDiePie did go down. James
Yeah.
Charles hasn't been
Oh,
eliminated
look at
yet.
this.
If the strategy might be to hide around, but you do see some shots going down, and it might as well be Shotgun and Techno coming in big, and a lot of bodies are going to drop as Shotgun once again going through and wrecking some of the players. Log.zip
Techno!
as well, and Techno coming into the mix too.
The floating heads are so interested, and so are we. Can he try and escape? My goodness, he tries to go for the Hail Mary Ender Pearl and ends up escaping just in the nick of time. I was going to say, right, we saw some really good moments there, right? Log.zip pretty much sacrificed himself.
There we
Shotgun
go.
was nearly attacked, but to no avail. Ender Pearl's coming in clutch, and another person who actually has an Ender Pearl is going to be James Charles, and you see him looking over, and I got to say, probably not feeling the most confident considering that PewDiePie is no longer in the game.
No, and only 4 arrows, even with the height advantage there, was probably not an engagement worth taking on there.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you were saying there. Techno looked like they were going to get the cold-hearted revenge on a former teammate
was
there.
great.
As we see now Carson chasing after. You got to love these chases in Minecraft, right? Sometimes there's a lot of movement, and then sometimes it's just hop, hop, hop,
Yep.
continue to run away.
Oh, yeah, get that maximum speed, right? You don't want the players to catch up to you. Carson.
Oh,
Out on
no.
the hills, and you ran straight into, looks like the Lion's Den. Carson coming in with a big elim. You'd love to see it. Carson didn't do too bad, right? Playing with Jay Schlatt last week, finishing off in about, 10th place, 288 points. Carson, solid player, and we could expect a lot from him, but curious, is his partner still up?
I'm not sure. I mean, based on the fact that he kind of goes for the solo rush, you'd like to think maybe not. But I don't think I've seen his teammate pop up in the kill feed. You never know. Definitely could have happened, but regardless, it looks as we hop back on towards Shotgun, who narrowly made an escape. The great escape, if you will. Might be catching, actually, Carson off guard. Nearly knocks him into the lava, but a TNT is placed down, and Shotgun has to get out of dodge. Smart play coming in from Carson. Like we said, those Ender Pearls and those TNT, without question, have been clutch for a lot of players' escapes. Carson, though, takes an arrow to the chest, and unfortunately is losing so much health. And one more arrow could possibly do it. I'm not sure if he's at full health, so he might not be going for the full region. And a shot from range. Lovely stuff coming through from Shotgun. You think with a name like that, it wouldn't work out the greatest. But look at this guy, Shotgun. While he was going for loot, there was a team who was just on the outskirts watching this fight go down. Maybe a 3-peat coming in. I'm not sure if they spotted him, but you'd like to think that with all the fireworks, with all the excitement that goes down after you take down a player, someone's going to be around this area.
And we've talked a little bit about how important it is to have a teammate up at all times because, again, this is not a game where it's very easy to outplay the opponent. There's not a whole lot of gear. There's not a lot of movement options, so it makes it that much more impressive that Shotgun continues to stay alive, continues to identify other teams that are down to 1 left, and get the picks that way. That's what's going to keep them up until the next game.
Look at all this scenery. I love to see that, man. I think that was like a windmill. I think some jellyfish-looking creatures as well. Creativity is endless. Bajan taking down Skeppy, unfortunately not able to camo himself out in the dirt. Bajan at least is here for the early game, and we know, right? Major shout to Bajan Canadian for being so involved with the Minecraft community, guys. He's been a major factor in making Minecraft Monday even a possibility. He's got a ton of experience and excited to see what he can do. Unfortunately, as you were mentioning earlier, Taylor, not with his typical duo Jerome, but he's going to try to make do, right? He's a very talented player. We know he can definitely do some damage. But speaking of damage, Ant Venom dropped, Technoblade, Ballistic Squid are feeling good, and I think Captain Sparkles was the man who tried to escape from this particular fight, and I think right now they're gauging, is it worth it to go for Captain Sparkles? It might be. I think it might be.
Definitely might be, right? You got to go through and get those eliminations. I mean, we're talking about 10 points per elimination. And if you look at Shotgun, I mean, he's already the top scorer. We've seen him get, at least 4 eliminations so far, a couple of teams. So he's definitely going to be sitting pretty, especially after game number 1. But I got to say, impressive stuff overall. Bajan Canadian, glad to see he's having a good start because I know last week he didn't have the best of starts, to say the least. I know he was, dying relatively early on, but still plenty of teams remaining. We're sitting at a total of 11, and I know the server's going to be collapsing down relatively soon, or at least the zone. So these players, I mean, it's about to be a mass of them, just elimination after elimination.
It is, and we see right now as you mentioned there on the right side, most elims, it's a shotgun, but Technoblade currently sitting with the best gear. And I know we saw in Ballistic Squid a mostly full-kitted set of iron as well. So if you have better gear than that, that does bode well for your team. And they're also camping out in the center. We talked about that a lot last game, how it always seemed like Vicstar and Pizza Hut had the center of the map at the end. That's a big deal as we see Shotgun playing very, very well that far, but that taking a little too long is going to allow Technoblade and Ballistic Squid to come in, get the eliminations, and with that, most elims does go to Technoblade. Most elims, best gear. This is picking right where he left off. It's almost as if it's still last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we talked about earlier, whenever we managed to see Shotgun narrowly escape, it was this duo. They finally managed to catch him in the end. But take a look at this. Vicstar does have that Ender Pearl, tries to go up front and could catch off Jerome. A wonderfully played moment. And I want to say that Jerome might have escaped there with an Ender Pearl of his own. Obviously, he disappears. No elim comes through, but another fight. And you might notice, I think that might be Technoblade, who is on the other end. Yeah, they shut down Jerome. He pretty much fired an Ender Pearl right into the depths of a very talented squad. So like we said, at this point in the game, you're looking across the valley and you see a team like that, you're definitely thinking otherwise. You're thinking maybe we want to reference back, maybe try a new play. And I think that's Vicstar kind of giving a little bit of a sorry to Jerome because he pretty much walked right into the lion's den.
Man, I'm a little bit worried for the competition. Techno is already scary enough as it is. Adding a diamond sword along with sharpness, come on, he's going to be virtually unstoppable. And every player is definitely going to have to run into him at some point. But I thought a player was getting tagged up, or at least Lackland, and he is, in fact, going to be tagged up just a little bit. Ender Pearl in hand. He's going to try and dip out. I know that zone is collapsing down pretty quickly, so something to keep in mind as the final hunt is well underway. Techno looking for the competition to come to him. Hey, he's already got the most elims. He doesn't need to go to them. They need to come to him, and he knows that. He is ready to fight.
Oh, look at this from Ballistic Squid. He's just kind of going and taking that high ground position. And while that's going on, his teammate may or not be being rushed. Vicstar on the other end is going for Dan TDM and Think Noodles. I like the play, and unfortunately he has two just in front of him. Mr. Savage just toward his left, and I think Dan TDM ends up getting dropped. He and his teammate take an early exit. Another fantastic group fight going through, and it's going to be Vicstar and Co. who are on the better end. Lackland trying to escape with those Ender Pearls, and Technoblade lands just in front of him. A few swipes, and unfortunately it's going to be just too late. But like we said, guys, our dominant teams are continuing to be that way.
Oh, no.
And they're just handing off diamond gear back and forth.
Know. And he's got a Gapple in his possession as well. He's already ate a Gapple, so he's sitting up with two full armor. This is not looking good if you are the competition. They're still at a total of 6 eliminations that they can get with 8 total players left. That's another 60 points that they could rack up. But you got to be thinking, though, Vicstar is there, but he doesn't have the sword to back it up. That's the only thing that's really worrying me. Plus, he doesn't have a Gapple in his inventory. It could get interesting.
And he can't get to the enchantment table either, right?
Exactly.
Because Technoblade and Co. are here.
Locking it down.
Yeah, they're not leaving this middle. That's for sure.
Well, you figure that the stalemate has to give up eventually. Who's gonna blink first here?
Exactly.
Holding on to the middle, holding on to high ground as well, as you said. Just 8 players left. We see 4 of them on the screen right now. Eventually, someone has to fall into this absolute lion's den, as you called it earlier. We do finally see some shots go off this way. They are firing it, and it looks like the charge is happening. This may set the tone for the rest of the tournament.
It absolutely could. Vicstar firing off a few arrows, just trying to do some early damage. We know arrows aren't the most common things. They've got to be careful with that. Already takes a little bit of damage, gets hit with another one. Great shots coming in from Technoblade, hardly missing. He's got plenty of mushroom stews and even has a few Ender Portals of things start to get a little bit antsy. Comes through and you see Mr. Savage already tossing out the Ender Pearl. I think he and Vicstar had that backup plan. That's such a smart move from them to try and get out of dodge.
It is, but how long is it going to last for?
It's true.
Techno on the hunt along with his teammate. This is definitely going to get interesting, but they're just going to hang out in the middle once again, and that fight was really all for nothing. Couple wasted arrows. Now I guess they're just going to regenerate. They don't want to get up close, right? Because you know that diamond sword with sharpness is definitely going to murk them. But yeah, that zone is going to force them in regardless. And taking the fight to the zone is going to be Techno. Vicstar, Mr. Savage running away. And Captain Sparkle's on the flank, making things interesting. And here we go, Techno fighting off with Captain Sparkle. Excuse me, that's going to be Vicstar in the mix. is we have a third-party opportunity. Ballistic Squid is going to eliminate Vicstar in the meantime, but Vicstar and Miss Savage are going to go down. Lachlan comes through and eliminates Mr. Savage, but this is great if you're the opposing teams, right? Because now you're watching Techno. He's not getting those elims, and you already know he's going to be leading the charge, especially after game number 1.
Oh, man, this is coming down to the wire, and like we talked about it, our dominant team in the middle is still holding it down. Technoblade firing off a few arrows, and for Lachlan, he's just hanging out on the edge. I will say, I think he might have Interpol to try and escape. At least wants to try to get as many points as he can. Like we said, 10 per. This might be Lornside trying to work out a flank situation, and it seems to be Techno dropping. Dang, that's a long name, a.k.a. S Major. And Ballistic Squid dropping Lachlan. It's only one player left, and that is it. Victory Royale for Technoblade and Ballistic. And I got to say, guys, it looked that way from start to finish. These guys were looking fantastic. They were holding on to the middle portion of the map. This is a very scary team that clearly showed their dominance in that first matchup.
Well, we said after that first practice game, like, you know, a lot of bad things can happen. If someone goes down early and you don't get the chance to get your gear, I said, watch out for Techno. Don't bet against Techno. And there you go. A clean sweep there. Top score, best gear, most elims. And like you said, start to finish, both of them staying up. That means even more points they can get for survival. If it's this again, we might see a repeat of last week.
Yeah, and I got to say, though, it's kind of interesting to watch Techno kind of come through big, especially after that practice run. Shotgun was the guy who was dominating. And don't get me wrong, Shotgun played extremely well here. And in fact, he was one of the leading scorers for, quite some time with the most elims. But to see Techno kind of take it over in the end is going to be a phenomenal start. And what worries me, though, this is how well they start. You'll get to see the scoreline a little bit, later. But I got to say, though, I'm a little bit worried for the competition because last week we saw first place Technopig Shotgun Raids lead with first at 1,156 points. The closest team to them was Vicstar and Pizza Hut at 858. That's nearly 300-point lead in first place. So you start off strong, you continue to go strong, it's going to be almost impossible to catch up.
Yeah, and as we go and take a look at our scoreboard, as expected, right, Technoblade, Ballistic Squid, listen, they win the game, but that's a pretty dominant scoreline to have over everybody else. 192 after game 1. We've got Bajan, Canadian, and Lachlan actually just following up in second place. Shotgun and Log.Zip there in third. Captain Sparkles, Vicstar, Major, a few others to follow just after that. But guys, like I said, that is a very solid scoreline to have, considering that you are double the amount of points and the team that exists just below you in that second place. A phenomenal way to kind of start off this tournament, a phenomenal way to kind of start off that first matchup. I know we'll be heading toward par 72 for game number 2.
I love this map.
But I got to say, one thing we were mentioning, right, especially when it came down to that practice matchup, whenever one player goes down, it makes it so much more difficult. I noticed, right, we talked about Shotgun, at least on the other end, obviously was a teammate of Technoblade last week. You're talking about, half of the defending champions. There was a moment when Log.Zip pretty much rushed in against somebody. I think he had like 3 hearts. He got taken down very early on in the game. So while we are talking and obviously, making claims which are very accurate in terms of, one team looks dominant already, you know what? If he has his teammate, maybe it's a different story. Maybe if we have a collective, 2v2v2 at the end, we could see some more, or rather a few more different results. But if we see anything like that, Technoblade and Ballistic Squid can keep this up. They may be looking at like mathematically impossible for everybody else after like game 6. So
yeah, you can only imagine if they continue to get 192 after 192 after 192. I mean, literally by
it's going to be so
the fifth
difficult.
round,
Yeah,
I mean they're going to be nearing 1,000 points. It's going to be insane.
And it's important to bring up, right? 2 squads last week won 7 out of our 9 games. It was Pizza Hut and Vicstar who won 3. It was Shotgun and Techno who won 4, right? The last 4, or at least kind of a collection of those. So, like, kind of dominant runs can be made from duos in terms of just kind of continuing on in certain matches. Like, they can totally replicate this. It's just a matter of one team started to kind of catch up. We talked whenever the fight started to kind of improve a little bit, whenever teams started to kind of play a little bit more faster paced, that's when we start Vicstar and Pizza Hut start to slow down a little bit. So I'm curious if we kind of have that same dynamic, if things kind of turn out to be that same way, and maybe another team could start to kind of rise a little bit around that game 4, game 5. So
hope.
I think we all are hoping for that. Yeah,
because 2nd through 6th right now is very close. We saw that last week, So hopefully, they're going to be able to catch up a little bit because, Techno keep playing the way that they're playing. It's going to be unstoppable. Chat, let us know, by the way, using the hashtag Minecraft Monday on Twitter. Let us know your predictions and what you guys are thinking about the show overall. You can tweet at us at Lando, of course, at Reflections, and at 9 whole grains. 9 swole grains, baby. Sorry, never doing that again. But with that being said, though, make sure you're using that that hashtag Minecraft Monday.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got to make sure to get involved in the conversation. And one thing that you were kind of, whenever you were talking, it kind of brought up in my mind. It takes like a very risky moment for a team to realize, hey, we have enough, like, inventory spots. We have enough like good items in our inventory to claim mid, right? Because that's like a confident moment whenever you're like, yeah, we're going to go and take mid at this moment, because you know where that's going to be where a lot of the fights are kind of going through. If you don't have, right, you have the enchantment table that's obviously there. That's a very key point. If teams aren't ready or if they're not prepared, you can easily be overtaken if you don't have the right loot. So I thought that was a good moment whenever Technoblade and Ballistic Squid kind of claimed middle. They never left it, right? They were always involved in fights. They were constantly like kind of sending out their forces to go in those 2v1 situations where they knew they had the loot advantage, when they knew they had the the enchantment advantage as well. So I'm curious if we might start to see a few teams over time realize, hey, maybe the early game fight is really important for that enchantment table, to kind of realize and say, hey, this is kind of like base. If you can get control over base, you're in a really good spot.
Exactly.
So that to me was always an interesting dynamic, because I feel like last week we always saw probably the team that won was normally kind of hanging out in the middle around that enchantment table to make sure that nobody else had the opportunity to. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's little nuances like that if you can lock down, you are going to thrive in a competition like this, And every BR is kind of unique. It has its unique little aspects to it, and I think Hunger Games is no different. So whether it's, breaking off the start, leaving everybody else going towards the middle, maybe even locking down mid later on after you've got a couple of elims and your choice at the loot, it all depends on your play style. But one thing is for certain, that first game was dominant in fashion from Techno as well as Squid. So here we are, game number 2, and already punches are being thrown.
For all you statisticians out there, that score of 192 is the second highest that we have seen in Minecraft Monday, beaten only by a score of 200 that Vicstar and Pizza Hut put up last week. So if you want to talk about dominant, yes, it was that dominant.
it was indeed. Like I said, and that's a great way to kind of start things off. Unfortunately, if you're Nick 28T, that is not a good way to start things off. PewDiePie throwing a few shots over to Dolan Dark and Novify. I know those guys have had their conversations in the past, but take a look at that. Philza takes down shotgun range and Mr. Savage off the start.
And that's what we're talking about. That break off the start is crucial. If you cannot find a weapon, you decide to go mid instead of breaking off, finding yourself a sword, you can run into a situation like that. Hey, I don't care. You can have the best player going against the worst player, but if the worst player has a sword and he goes to shank you, at the end of the day, he's going to have a much better chance of taking you out, and we saw just that as Mr. Savage and Shotgun go down.
And that's not a duo, right? Those are two different duos, which means it even adds another dynamic in there that only is more of a benefit toward Techno and Ballistic Squid. That's massive right now, and yeah, there goes log.zip.
That's huge.
Philza is dropping everybody at this moment.
And Vic's down too?
Oh my gosh.
Wow. All right, well, Techno, this is your chance to make a lead that nobody is going to be able to catch up with, as all of the other top competition is going down entirely too quickly. This is exactly what we saw in the second half of last week's tournament, right? It was just these other teams being knocked out by other people. And, you know, because we've mixed up the teams a little bit, of course, there are a lot of big threats spread throughout the map all the time.
Oh, Techno, James Charles, come on. What did he do to you? Give him a chance, PewDiePie.
No.
Listen, it's a matter of how many elims will they have by the end of the night. That's the question I have for James Charles and PewDiePie.
What's the over-under?
Exactly. We were kind of talking a little bit about that earlier on, but
I'm thinking we see at least 2 overall.
You think so?
I think eventually.
But, you know, last week I was saying Leon Lush, it's going to be a win if you get 1. I'm thinking you get 1. He didn't even get 1.
I think at one point Dolan Dark and Nobify may or may not sacrifice themselves to PewDiePie. I think it might happen. I don't know. Teams may realize, hey, you know what? I can be killed by PewDiePie. It's a video. It's a title. Who knows? Everyone's in there for the social game, and here comes the fight. Bajan Canadian desperately trying to provide a little bit of assistance toward his teammate, but that's not going to work out that well as Techno takes down Swagger, Ant Venom takes down Lackland, and like I said, as the big names continue to fall, Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom still remain supreme, and Bajan is on the rush. He is on pretty much a run for his life right now. And while it may look pretty, right, running through a lovely meadow, it is not going to end out the greatest, especially if a corpse is granted by.
It's so funny. You have Minecraft, which is like this cute game, right? You know, everything looks cute and cuddly, and then you have a player such as Ant Venom or Techno pushing you with an axe, ready to just knock you out. It's an interesting dynamic, to say the least. But I got to say, interesting start, Philza. Shout out to him for doing so incredibly well. Very quiet whenever it came to the warm-up. really quiet, and obviously in game number 1, but very explosive start in game number 2. Jerome, he's got to be proud.
And take a look right here. We have Quackity and Junkity Janker, a team that we didn't really talk about a ton, but if there's one thing I think of when I think of Junkie Janker, it's always being there at the end. Maybe one of the best survivalists of all of these teams.
Yeah.
As we see a nice little standoff here. I have the high ground, don't approach me, but I think eventually Beijing Canadian is going to meet a pretty grisly end, although I don't know, this movement's something else.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I went out of my way to say there's not a ton of maneuverability options, but Beijing's proven me wrong here. Very nice. Very nice.
I'd say the only problem, though, is he can only run for so long, right? I would say he has a decent amount of food, but in turn, like, right, I mean, I think the opponents may or may not have some items along the way that can grant them some success. You talk about bows and arrows, etc., that could come in handy as we watch Quackity involved in that kill feed and is going to be eliminated, actually, by Wolfless. So it kind of went back and forth for a turn. Jay Schlatt as well gets granted by who other than Technoblade. I cannot wait to watch those guys here in a moment and see what their tear is on to, as most elims already granted toward Technoblade. A decent escape from Beijing Canadian, and look at this little spot. So an Ender Pearl in the hands. I can't even tell who this is, but is that Nepenthez? It's got to be Nepenthez, surely.
You would think so, right?
It is Nepenthez!
Yeah, because Nick, so it's actually quite funny you said that, because Nick was eliminated so early on, and Nepenthez, and just as in fighting style as he did in not only game number 1, game number 2, he's just trying to survive. Hey, you can't blame the guy.
He's going for score, right? You got to get something.
Hey, listen.
Points are points.
2 points for every team you survive, so he's racking them up.
Oh, and Captain Sparkle surely was giving a call out to Ant Venom. Yeah, we got to back up out of this one. This is not the greatest fight, especially when Jerome is involved. But in the midst, let's see how this fight can partake. Chests are refilled, and Ant Venom is desperately just trying to get out of dodge. And unfortunately, Captain Sparkles is not really going to be there for a whole lot of assistance. Maybe trying to go for something in the chest, maybe hand off something, but he can't. Jerome drops Ant Venom, and now Captain Sparkles on the road to try and escape, and has nothing really to show for it, right? No Ender Pearls, nothing of note. And it looks as if an Ender Pearl is placed down to try and cut him off, but good movement from Sparkles. Does have 6 hearts, and it's only beginning to go up. I like the play, but this surely should be a cutoff soon.
And this is what's so scary about chasing people across the map, as we have seen Sparkles and Filza do this entire time, chasing after Beijing Canadian there. What does it get you? It gets one of you back onto the kill feed, and another running for their life, and no Beijing Canadian kill to show for it. Got to be careful. You have to weigh your risks.
And you definitely do, right? Because you might even run into another duo. And if you just so happen to run, like, let's say, Techno as well as Squid, that's going to, put a hurting on you, because now it's like just, something was just delivered at their doorstep, a nice little present and a couple of elims. But with that being said, Sidearm Speedy going down, Ballistic Squid, Techno taking them out, and that will secure Techno with the most elims this game alone. But man, yeah, this is quite a long run. I feel like I'm watching DayZ. It's just a running simulator at this point. Eventually, though, you will reach the end, and there is going to be the end of it. Yeah, Captain Sparkles. Hey, but I will say, though, Captain Sparkles there that entire time. You gained an additional 2 points. Why? Because Speedy and Sidearms went down a little bit earlier. So was it worth it? I think so.
Someone's actually hanging out in the fountain.
Who is that?
Oh, there's like... Oh, there's like 3 players around this area. I was waiting for them to try and engage. Maybe trying to use the iron blocks to somewhat of a camo effect, much like we saw last week. But Jerome ends up taking down Major, and I think on the other side, Lauren ends up getting taken down by Filza. So good play coming in from this particular duo. It looked a little bit scary for the moment, but ends up working out. And like I said, Jerome, Filza, they've been playing pretty well up to this point. I think they've been a part in taking down some dynamic duos, at least off the break. But look at this. Oh, for a moment, I thought Filza was another player. And I was like, this is going to be the perfect moment. But back toward the other side, Wolfless versus Technoblade does technically have the better weapon in the situation if you look at it right.
Oh, wow.
What a combo.
That was an amazing combo, and you got to be thinking his movement was insane, right? Going back and forth, and it's those little movements that make all the difference, right? You just don't want to go at your opponent head on. But I got to say, beautiful stuff. Nice combo coming in to finish him off with the snowball and then one final hit. But it's good, dualship. I got to say, Techno, Ballistic Squid, they complement each other very well.
They do, and again, as we get back on to Cosplaying a chair right now is Nepenthez here, who's just happy to rack up as many points as possible, doing nothing except for getting a survival score. But you know, sometimes you have to contribute points in any way you can, so I appreciate this. But that last fight just goes to show you the experience, the next level of skill in Minecraft PvP. As we see Bajan Canadian going down. Bajan Canadian survived a lot longer than he had any business doing, though.
He did, but man, running into Filza to kind of end his life for the time being. I got to say, Filza, like you said, he is playing well. And after a very quiet start, I got to say, I'm still worried for the competition, right? Technoblade, you see him, best gear, top score, most elims. Squid has got a couple himself. They're already sitting at, what, 192 after the first game.
And look where they're at, too.
Yeah, and this is what Landon was talking about, right? This is a good strategy to lock down.
It's a confident one, and based off the amount of eliminations that we've seen them get involved with in the kill feed, you'd like to imagine that this deserves to be their place. This is their main frame of interest, is handing off multiple mushroom stews to each other. Like I said, they've got enchanted diamond swords. And as we switch back toward Filza, I want to kind of bring this up because as the amount of dominant teams that we've saw already get taken down in terms of like Shotgun and Log and Vicstar and Savage, this is a really good chance for this team to really make some improvements.
Who is this?
But yeah, look at this. This little gingerbread does have that player finder. Who? Okay, this can't be Nepenthez.
No, it's not Nepenthez.
I believe the tag was Wall Street Journal. Now, do you all want to guess at who that is?
Who?
No, I'm asking you.
No, I have no idea. See, but I'm saying this is the kind of stuff I respect because this is exactly what I would be doing. Speaking of which, that's a nice skin. I definitely got to take that.
Gingerbread men hiding in trees. Only Minecraft.
It really is. You're never going to see that again, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you might, I guess, another BRG.
I was going to say another BR.
I forgot.
Gingerbread men
Gingerbreads
as well,
do exist in other ones, but still, very creative play. But like you said, taking advantage over that mid portion of the map, Technoblade, Ballistic Squid. They've slandered everybody up to this point. They're feeling great. And I believe there are only 4 other players, and it is going to be Wall Street Journal. Or what? Wait, Wall's Tree Journal?
Team number 7.
I mean, living up to the name. So Phil's is on the run with Jerome, so we might realistically see 2 solid squads face up against each other. Phil's at Jerome, I like to play. However, facing off against Techno and Ballistic Squid is not going to be the easiest, that's for sure. And they're quickly going to go and reference back toward middle. They might see a team just off in the distance wanting to make sure, that they claim back toward that enchantment table. They did not want to render that to anybody else.
Just saw in the chat, Major saying, if Techno wins this week again, is he banned for all future weeks? And everybody quickly says, yep, I agree.
No, he's been found out. Like I said, the chair cosplay only could work out for so long there, Nine. It was a valiant effort, though.
It wasn't bad, but this is interesting because I think this is going to move them far enough away from the center. There might be an opportunity. It's just going to be a matter of if Filza had the opportunity to move in. We'll see. It looks like the compass is out here. They are trying to identify where they're coming from.
Wow.
And it looks like they're taking the fight to them, perhaps. Let's see. Maybe time to do a little hiding themselves.
Oh, there goes Wall Street Journal.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
2
Whoever
more.
you are.
So we're down to the final 4 here.
Are we down? So Gingerbread Man was Wall Street Journal, so he goes down, right? So
Wall Street Journal.
Nobody should be hiding.
Nope, it's just the 2 kitted
And
out
there
teams.
he is right there. Okay.
The final fight, will it be 2 in a row for Ballistic Squid and Techno?
Oh, and Filza might be shifting here. I think he was trying to go for somewhat of a sneaky play. However, he has to be careful to not try and engage. He does have an Ender Pearl, 19 arrows, pretty good kit. But unfortunately, Technoblade shuts down Jerome, 7 hearts, but to no avail. That's going to equal out the amount that currently Filza has. Try to place that down some TNT, but it's not going to work out. And back-to-back games, a more dominant game, too, than the first. Technoblade and Ballistic Squid are only continuing to distance themselves from the rest of the competition.
My goodness, they've got to have at least close to 400 points at this point.
When does the mid-tournament balance patch come in here?
Are we going to shift teams up a little bit?
Just hit that shuffle button or something.
Wow, I gotta say, from game 1. But then again, let's go back in time, right?
Like,
Vicstar Pizza Hut, they were winning left and right. They won 3 games in a row, and then all of a sudden, Techno and Shotgun Blade came through big in the end, and they were able to take the lead and take the win overall. So a strong start doesn't necessarily represent a strong finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But at the same time, though, I think just as long as you stay alive in the early game, that's what really was the main difference maker and what allowed for this game number 2 to be so dominant, right? But whenever you have the opposing team getting taken down, which I believe was a major contribution, from Filza and Jerome as they skyrocket themselves quickly now to second. I do say skyrocket. There is one that happens to be a lot bigger than them, and Technoblade and Ballistic Squid, who are now up to nearly 400 points. It's 2 games, ladies and gentlemen. 400 points nearly reached. Obviously in third, though, we've got Beige Canadian and Lachlan, Captain Sparkles, Nat Venom, and Webby and Wolfless to round out the top 5. And you notice, right, in terms of the teams that we were talking about to be top squads, you have a very slow game number 2, 7th and 8th right now. So they're going to have a decent way to kind of make that progress upward. We saw it happen from Shotgun and Technoblade last week, right? They were kind of a little bit lower in the standings. They started to make their way upwards, but being down, like 70 to 398, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a few games, and if you have a slow performance again, you might already be running yourself off of that top 2, if not first place spot.
That's true, but those initials are so incredibly important.
Oh, absolutely.
And that last game was just crazy.
It's kind of an outlier a little bit, but
Vicstar, Mr. Savage, a couple of others as well. Some favorites going down like right off the rip. It just comes to show you need to get that distance early on, get your weapon, and then you can start going on the attack whenever you feel comfortable, right? Because a sword versus fist, who's going to win, right? The sword.
Yeah,
Unless you're Mike Tyson, I don't know. I mean, you might have a chance overall, but with that being said,
someone needs to put on that skin. That may help them. May actually interchannel something.
Mike Tyson.
It could. I mean, hey,
but then
one punch knockout.
Hey, maybe so.
That'd be nice. But like you said, like the beginning portions of these games are just so important, and I think a lot of teams were rendered useless. I think there was someone who had to have like a sword that was taking them down. I don't think they had hardly anything, because every time that someone would die or get eliminated, I think that there was still that player who was knocking them out had like 19, 18 hearts, so he wasn't really seeing a whole lot of adversity.
Exactly.
So I think it was kind of the early kits, but you also have to be careful of whenever you're running away, who's next to me, right? What kind of players do I have who are just off to my side? I think in game 1, James Charles was running next to somebody. It was log.sip, and I was like, okay, be very careful where you are right now, because you never know. This guy is going to go in and grab a sword and quickly try to slay you out if you're not careful. But like I said, kind of being aware of your surroundings, even toward the early game. As hectic as it is, if you're not careful of who are, or rather the players who are around you, and, like I said, we've already kind of hyped them up a little bit. You watch that first game and how, or rather the practice matchup, you kind of know who the talented players are, or at least the ones who are kind of in that conversation for top 5 already. I mean, you might try to preface wanting to go for them early as well, knowing that how many points that they could achieve, how dominant they're going to be kind of toward the mid to rather late game. That might be one of my teams. If I'm not the most confident, I want to try to take down the top players first, because that's when they are going to be at their weakest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think early game is probably one of the most important, crucial parts, and will set you up for success in late games. So getting a strong start is extremely important. I think in other BRs, the start is important, but not so much as the late game. But here, early game is just as crucial as any other part.
Maybe took a look there at the start. Some TNT being fired, but I watched immediately what Techno and Squid did. They ran away instantly. They got as far away as they could, and there was only one team that was chasing after them. I think we were seeing all this mix right here. They want to avoid all of this. Like you said so eloquently, Landon, at the beginning, everyone's equal. You have to get away as fast as you can to hope that there's no RNG that can ruin your game.
I got to say, I think there may be a train forming. I'm not sure if it's just by accident or if it's the players that exist just toward the front side. James Charles is running into a tunnel. He's got to be so careful.
Oh, no. Where are you going to go?
Oh, gosh. Everyone's dying to TNT. This is not the way that they intended to start off this matchup. James Charles, PewDiePie ends up getting taken down. James Charles, last person alive. And he's got to be so careful, right, at this point in the game. Ends up slowing down maybe to try to earn a few more of his hearts.
And Sparkles and Ant Venom are out, too.
We just have an axe.
Nepenthes has been spotted. Nick is gone, too, so no more hiding in the trees for this map, which is the perfect one to do it on, by the way.
I want to say, I noticed at the beginning of the game that I think it was Wall Street who was commenting in the chat and saying something along the lines of, like, yeah, we're going to protect you. I think they're going to try to follow James and protect him throughout this game. He's got some bodyguards.
Okay, interesting stuff.
By the way, another player died to fire.
That's the fifth one. That's the fifth one today. That's the 10th one or 6th one today already, as Pay Money Wubby's going to die as well. I think there's a trap like in the middle. I know on one of these maps, and I kind of caught this whenever I was watching a recap from Beijing Canadian on his YouTube channel, and there's a spot like towards the middle or whatever, like where you can kind of fall down into some lava.
Yeah.
And I think that was the case here. And I know Ninja and his partner fell victim to that last week. Not necessarily lava, but it was a hole with spiderweb, and they kind of just got caught and ended up dying underneath the ground.
want to point out, I think that, yeah, James Charles's henchmen are down as of this moment. I think it was Jerome who dropped them, and now Dan TDM, he and Think Noodles may be on the hunt because they desperately want a few, and you've got to be careful about some of these traps that happen, and Dan has got to be so frustrated at this moment in the quicksand, and it's only going to bring him down. Look at this. Oh, no.
I love this.
Oh, more and more. Dan. Oh, was that a golden? Oh, he takes a golden apple.
Hey, it might as well, right? That is the greediest play, but obviously no one's going to be able to get that in the
Rest
end.
in peace, Dan.
Dan, you were a good man.
Rest in peace. Think
All's
Noodles.
well that ends well.
Oh, it's cobwebs, too.
Yeah.
And this is such a sad thing.
Oh, there's the lava soap. This is what I was talking about. This is how a couple of the players, were
Poor
eliminated
Dan,
early on.
no!
There you go, Dan, and yeah.
Rest in peace, Dan TDM. We will remember you. We will remember you as a man who was willing.
And it goes to Jerome, too, just to add salt to the wound. Jerome's halfway across the map at this point wondering, wait, what did I do?
No. Dan, we will remember you as a very adventurous man. We will, I promise. We'll see you in Game 4, pal. That's rather unfortunate for sure, but kind of glazing back over, we do see ourselves toward the train tracks, and it looks as if Beijing Canadian and Co. may be ready to try and engage, but here comes James Charles, and unfortunately gets dropped by Technoblade, and who else, right? He and Ballistic Squid are constantly involved in that elimination feed, and it looks as if they might have gotten somewhat of a hint that these players may not be in the greatest spot. A shotgun takes down Jack, but it looks as if right now the hunt is on. And we'll see if these players can maybe try and get out of dodge, maybe try and escape, try to use some high ground to their advantage. I think this might be Swagger Souls and Co., but Beijing Canadian is on the hunt already.
And Laser just he just played a side bet in the chat saying, I'll pay anybody $1,000, whoever takes out Techno. So now the whole server is potentially going to be going against you. And I saw a long drawn-out no from Techno coming out in the chat.
Can we ban Gravel? I love that from Dan in the chat. Can we just get rid of this particular block in all the servers? I'm not sure if that's logistic or if that logistically can work or not, but Beijing continuing on the hunt as we get to watch his old and longtime friend Jerome take down Jay Schlatt. While they're not together, they're at least the screen combos are working out. The game, the Minecraft gods want to see them together, but Beijing ends up taking down Fitzy Fitz. That's going to be another elim in his book as we're now down to our final 13 players.
We take a look right here. Vicstar and Savage pretty well kitted up, and this they did not get to do last time. So I believe our 3 teams that we are looking at are all still up. They are all doing a good job of getting themselves kitted as well. And with only 13 players left, that means 6 of them are on strong teams here that are left. So there's not a lot of elims left for any of these teams right now unless they all run into the center at the same time. But you never know. This may be part of that comeback that we were talking about.
Absolutely. And I got to say, I'm very happy for Mitch sitting at totally right now for the most elims. He needs to start making this comeback possible because I do believe – oh, no, another one. Junkie. Junkie, how many people are going to fall into this trap? I know that's 8 people that have died from either fall damage or fire today, and at least for this game alone, that's the 3rd victim.
That's 80 points total. That's beating some teams right now.
That is. Chat, keep a tally. What, we're at 7, right, Taylor? That's the 7th one?
That's the 8th one today.
8th one?
8th one today. So
chat, yeah, let's
pay attention because we need to
keep
know.
this going.
This is something to pay attention to. Speedy. I want to see if Speedy can come through and get a couple of elim. Yeah, fall damage is a real thing.
You're just kind of hyping him up like, hey, I wonder what he can do. Okay.
It's so funny. Like, you don't even have to fall that far to take some fall damage, so it's kind of like frustrating. Oh, you know what? This was a lot of really good moments last time because I believe this is where Techno and Shotgun, whenever they were competing together in week 1, found a ton of victims in this cave alone. And I want to say it was Nick and Nepithans who was just kind of chilling out in this area.
That's a safe bet, I'd wager. But you can take a look right here. Log.zip. They've moved up here, so now they are the ones who are in the center of the map right now as we start to get to around when the compasses spawn. This is typically where we see Techno and Squid start to move in. Will not be the case this time as we see Jerome get another elim there on Speedy, who had done a little damage to himself at that point. But this is interesting. This is where the dynamic starts to shift a little bit. You almost wonder if some of these teams are more focused on survival at this point than anything else as we see Techno, never mind, not focused on survival. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, hey, he's definitely kind of putting in some work when it comes down to the outside of the map. But my big question is, like, in terms of, where he's at this moment, maybe he isn't aware that there are players that are, or rather he and Ballistic Squid aren't aware that there are players existing inside of that middle area. And that could play a factor as time goes on. You see them kind of even using a few of these potions, just trying to kind of get better up for what should be the enchantment table. And going from one power squad to the next, it looks as if Shotgun and Log maybe deciding to go ahead and venture out a little bit. So, interesting strategy. Maybe I'm trying to get somewhat of an idea where they could be going. Maybe they spotted someone, not exactly sure. Like I said, from power squad to power squad, Vicstar and co. still looking for some health, maybe some better items. Well, they do possess Ender Pearls and Stakes. So, I mean, they're all in a pretty good spot. But here goes down a fight. Grande dropped at a moment's notice, and maybe that was the player that they were looking for. Maybe that's the reason why they left that middle portion.
And they're really well kitted out too. We saw in some of our other power squads not nearly as well kitted up. Right here, this is full iron that both of these players have. They're going to be able to move up and play as they want to at this point. So I like this move from them. Let's go out. Let's go and hit the other teams before they even get the chance to come to us and see what we do from there. You see right now, Vicstar waiting for an opportunity to come in, and we'll see now. It looks like Vicstar has spotted something or maybe trying to run away. It looks like it might indeed be a runaway. As we see, again, Ballistic Squid and Techno spending some time shuffling their items around to try to give themselves the best chance. They are reasonably well kitted themselves, and now they're going to make a dash as well. So all three of our big teams are on the move right now.
And I got to say, I'm happy to see Vicstar with that Iron Enchanted Sword, because that is going to give him, at least an advantage in a fight like this. And Mr. Savage pushing in, and you can only be thinking, log.zip, this is going to be the end of the road. And yes, it is. He goes down, and Vicstar, Mr. Savage starting to heat up, and this is going to be the duo that is probably the best to challenge Techno as well as Squid in the end. When is that engagement going to go down? Well, in the meantime, though, Techno running into some dynamite. Honestly, he's not even worried about it. He's got a gapple. He's going to continue to push forward.
Oh, but so does Beijing Canadian. He says, I've also got one, and I've also got an enchanted bow. Deciding to go ahead and go in for the rush, and Ballistic Squid needs to get out of dodge, and thankfully he's going to get a pat on the back that allows for that to be a little bit easier. But one player coming in from the high portion of the tree. Bajan still tossing in a few arrows, but to no avail. He's surely going to be out of this fight, trying everything he possibly can, but just running into a flurry of the opponent. I will say there was someone just off on the shoreline, and Techno and Co. have to be very careful of this engagement. That player might have started to back up, because that 3P is pretty much the only way that you can take down this squad. And one of my sleeper picks, Blackity, hanging out on the stairs, and he is going to be shifting, and so is Jerome on the other end. So a lot of players hanging out, maybe going for placement. They keep seeing Technoblade get involved in the score feed, and they're saying,
I was looking at this joke from Wolfless. He says, I got a joke for you. 2 kids walk into a Minecraft tournament. What happens next? And the first answer is they win 10K. You love to see it.
Everyone team against Techno right now. The fix is on, everybody. Collusion officially in the chat.
Well, this happened last time with Vicstar. In week 1, there was a player, Vicstar is 3'6", another like Nerf Vicstar.
Yeah, people were changing their names for him.
Definitely so, right? But, it started off like that, and then it quickly turned into a lot of respect for Vicstar as he started mopping the floor, especially after winning 3 straight games. Respect was given.
Except Shotgun going for a little bit of bread. Like we said, his teammate taken down earlier. And my big question was, why were they split? And look at this man in the back. Is this Jerome? I can't even tell.
I think this is Jerome, yeah.
So I was going to say, he does have full iron. I wonder if he's just low in hearts. Maybe he doesn't feel confident without a teammate. He maybe wants to try to go for that mid-battle. But you got to respect the play. I guess, like we said, Storm, a little bit more than just on his back. It might be overtaking him a little bit, but thankfully isn't taking down any damage for the time. But Power Squad, right? Vicstar, Mr. Savage feeling a lot better. Chainmail helmets, but iron everything else, including their swords that are enchanted. And they were one of the original teams who tried to go back toward the center, and they're going to be here again. You see them shift checking, trying to be aware, and that's where Technoblade happens to reside, firing out a few arrows, and they realize they've got the enemy weak. He's 3 for 3 already. Quick engagement. Mr. Savage is quickly winded back, going for the spots. Shots checked, and Technoblade takes down one. Ballistic drops the other, and just like that, there goes Mr. Savage. There goes Vicstar. A valiant effort. But I got to say, a lot of those shots off the start were very crucial in that trying to go down, and here comes Shotgun. This is his chance. This is his play. His attempt at a 3P, unfortunately, allows for him to get stuck in the corner, doing all he can, but he's double-teamed, maybe trying to toss out an Ender Pearl that might have only just been a snowball. Technoblade, if he can get to the ladder, he's going to be in a good spot. And it looks as if right now,
He picked him up. Shotgun actually got Techno, and then Ballistic comes through and picks up Shotgun.
oh my gosh.
But I got to say, though, that is a win
valiant
in my
effort.
book, right? Techno going down.
And Jerome's going to win this.
Are you
Jerome's
kidding
going
me?
to win this.
Oh, Jerome, we talked about it.
Jerome!
He was on the outside. He was playing at the tree line, waiting for his chance. And what a smart play that was, considering his teammate was taken down earlier. What a play and what a moment for Jerome, the ultimate 3P.
I got to say, I'm very happy to see Jerome coming through. And, you know, even though I got to say Beijing Canadian's not on his team, he's definitely looking at Jerome. Very happy for it the time being. But, yeah, definitely solid start from Jerome. And this could be the turning point he needed to push through the leaderboard.
That's what we needed to see, right? We just needed a few of these single players to finally team up and try to take down Technoblade and Ballistic Squid. Granted, it was not easy by any means, but it ended up working out in their favor. And Jerome maybe getting a little bit of love, right, for Beijing Canadian, taken down by this duo earlier. He says, you know what, Mitch, I got you. I took him down in the end, buddy. I got the W. Lovely play coming in from all kinds of different rosters, but it was Technoblade and Ballistic Squid who looked so good in this mid-game, but they just constantly got off guard and just really, in the end of things, managed to make some work happen. But I love that play at the end, right? You just noticed Ballistic Squid at this moment's feeling good, and then Jerome just on the flank, melees constantly. 7 hearts is what he escapes with, and they will manage to hold on to this matchup, win it out.
Yeah.
However, as we take a look at our scoreboard, it is going to be Technoblade and Ballistic Squid still leading this one at 520 score. But Jerome, Philza, they're still hanging out there. They're at 344.
Not bad at all, right? A lot of score can change very rapidly, especially after a good game. But Landon, I got to say, 344 to 520, that can be closed pretty quickly.
Yeah, and absolutely can. Like we said, Beijing Canadian, Lackland not too far away. Shotgun and Vicstar exist just in that 4th and 5th place spot. But like we said, guys, that's going to do it for our first 3 matches. When we come back, it's time for game number 4 here with Minecraft Monday, week number 2. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Minecraft Monday, week number 2. We are officially through our first 3 games, and now we're looking on toward game number 4. Of course, we are, though, live here from the UMG studio. It's myself, Landon Lando Sanders, joined in part by Reflections, as well as 9 Whole Grains. Like we said, guys, we are 3 games in. We're feeling good coming into the next few. We were kind of going over some strategies in the midst of the commercial break, talking about what things kind of teams can do to move forward, that impressive victory, that kind of overcoming that Jerome had toward the end of that game number 3, coming on the flank. What it took like 3 different teams to take down, Technoblade and Ballistic Squid, but they managed to get it done. But impressive kind of victory for those guys. And I know that in terms of the overall score, a lot of things were affected by that clutch at the end.
Absolutely. I mean, now it went from, what, a 200-point lead to just down to about 150 or so like that, which is manageable.
It is, yeah.
And you can only think if Techno as well as the teammate go down relatively early, things could get drastically different. But I am happy Jerome was able to come through big in the end. Jerome, a huge part of the Minecraft community.
Yeah.
And I got to say, from his performance, especially, playing with that Rome duo, getting 3rd place last week, he wants first. He's hungry for it.
Starting it off right now, we see a couple teams run to the center, but once again, the big teams that we've talked about continue to run away immediately as we get into Teweran. This is a map with a lot of verticality, as you can see, and a nice little terrain as well. So there's plenty of room to run away as we see Technoblade and Ballistic Squid get as far away as they can. They have a nice little cliff face over here in their sights. They're going to go this way. This is where they're going to gear up. This is where they're going to mount their assault for this game. But I'm really curious. We already see people chasing after them here, and Techno has taken some damage. He does have an axe. He hit it. Wow. Okay, so no, this is exactly what they need to do, right? We talked about this. They need to try to target these teams early, and it looks like they have a pretty good angle to do
Is he
so.
going on the attack?
Techno is not caring at all. Snowballs are tossed out from Philza. Like we said, this is a very talented duo right now. What seemed to be an assault, what seemed to be a planned attack, may or may not be working out. What a play this is from Technoblade and from Ballistic Squid, as they pretty much just go ahead and push their chest out a little bit farther, saying, oh, yeah, you guys want to come toward us? Well, lovely play coming in, and what a reversal that was. I don't know where that axe came from. I think that might have been a handoff. Maybe it was a chest that was found underwater.
They hid it. They hid it. They hid the fact that they had axes there.
Oh, my gosh. That's an incredible play. Unfortunately, I think that the collab with me, James, may or may have not been PewDiePie. We'll have to maybe see over time, but Junkie Janker ends up finding 2 with that. But to no avail, guys. I mean, getting back toward the main frame of that discussion, that's a massive moment for Technoblade and Ballistic Squid. I mean, if Jerome and co could have taken them down, that's the exact key that they needed to bring it back to even the score a little bit. That was 2nd place versus 1st.
And I like that. Whenever you stick out your chest and show the opponents, hey, I'm here to fight. You want to fight? Come at me, bro. Hey, I love that situation because, the gentleman's agreement came in. Both teams kind of, backed off of each other, but it could have been a lot different in that situation. But I do like to see. You see Beijing Canadian not slowing down. He's got a couple of elims off the start, already picking up another. Speedy getting in the mix, too. I love to see that because, Speedy, as well as his teammate, they kind of been struggling a little bit, dying a little bit early on. But the fact that they do get an elim at the start might show, hey, they're wanting this to be a different story.
Can we just appreciate, again, I don't want to continually harking back to that play.
No, yeah.
Technoblade and Squid getting the jump, saying, okay, they're going to chase after us here. Let's hide. Let's see if they dive in too deep. We'll get the pick on them, too.
Yeah.
And that's just beautiful. The adapting to the adaptation, as we say, that is very nice to see over here. Vicstar and his teammate, a very powerful team, Mr. Savage. You see, they're reasonably well geared up already. They're going to go down and look for some picks here, and Vicstar descending down this mountain like it is no small thing.
Definitely not. Got to be on the lookout for them. Wolfless, he's done considerably well throughout these games. Now going on to the 4th. Obviously, points are going to start to matter more and more as we get deeper into the matches. But I do want to point out, with it being the 4th game, right around the 6th or 7th, that's when kind of, the bottom teams, it's almost over for them. So this is the moment where you kind of have to go through big. And unfortunately, PewDiePie goes down to sidearms. And, again, no elims going to the side of James Charles.
It's going to happen,
PewDiePie.
Taylor. It's going to happen.
I believe in him. I really do. I really do.
There's another crucial one that comes in. Pay money Wubby. Very talented players. So Jerome and Philza getting him out of the way is important for them. Like we talked about, Jerome, big winner at the end of game number 3. They currently find themselves sitting in that second place position, as they were a team that's got to be careful. Someone has pretty much locked them down, and how far can they go in that spot? On the other end, Vicstar's tossing out some TNT in this building, and who relies just toward this furnace? So they're about to be greeted with some TNT, and it explodes them out. It was Skeppy, it was Jack, as they are dropped, and now there's plenty of loot, plenty of spoils for them to dive into. So great stuff coming in from this particular team as well. That's going to be some points, some survival points as well. So looking good on that end. And this is my curiosity, right? I'm really excited to watch Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles play together. I know that they've had a few good moments from time to time, but I was curious what really that they could try and achieve. As from player to player, this is another interesting fight that we've got brewing. It looks as if it is going to be Jerome and co. Maybe trying to take down, I want to say that was Lackland.
Yeah, Lackland and Bajan. So this is Team Marome fighting each other right now.
Yeah, I like this.
You kind of got to think, right? Yeah, obviously, they both know each other's play styles, so is that going to come into effect? But once again, Asian Canadian kind of, backing off. He backed off in the initial fight whenever it came over to Techno and his teammate, Ballistic Squid, and he backs off once again. Shotgun getting into the mix, coming out, taking Carson as well as Jay Schlatt. That team is going to drop, and you love to see Shotgun getting in the mix. He played incredibly well during the warm-up round, but games 1, 2, and 3, not so much. And Elam here or there, but never really shining. But I do like that the games are developing more and more. And we kind of talked about it, right? In week number 1, Vicstar, Pizza Hut dominating the early rounds. And then all of a sudden, Technopig, as well as Shotgun Raids coming through big in the end and taking over the victory. But we see Jerome kind of taking the lead, coming into second place, almost closing that gap from first to second. Now we're also seeing Bayesian Canadian coming through. He's got the most elims right now, too. And these are the guys within the top 5. And the top 5 could, the points could mix up quite well. So a lot of comebacks could be possible, but look at the size and the scale of this map.
We're talking about like the height advantages and whatnot as well. Like, the ability for you to kind of take those high ground positions is so key. The amount of mountains that exist, the chests that are kind of available in these high ground positions are going to be key. But from high ground to the main level, it looks as if Jerome and Filza both going to be back toward middle, and it looks as if I see a few diamond swords, and maybe you're going to go for a few enchantments. That's something that is going to be notable. It looks as if Technoblade is going to be in the midst of a fight along with Ballistic Squid, and we notice, right, Technoblade, he is going to go full force. Gas pedal is on, and there comes in the Ender Pearl on the hunt to drop someone. Well, also, Mr. Savage ends up taking down Quackity. There may be more elims about to enter in that feed here shortly, as a dominant one comes in, taking down Swagger Souls. Technoblade not at that top score, or most elims as of yet, but I got to imagine that's going to be happening here shortly, considering the way that they've been playing this mid-game. And I noticed, for me at least, for a lot of these top teams, I noticed they're not always in the top score off the break, which kind of goes to show they're willing to play a lot more passive off the break. They want to try to maybe allow for themselves to get loot, maybe not try to get in the worst fight in the world, and that has kind of been the blueprint so far for Technoblade and Ballistic Squid. Well, it wasn't the greatest situation off the start for them. They managed to make it work. They managed to stay alive. Didn't want to try to engage if things did not end up working out. And as Dan takes down, I think that was Sidearms, and it is going to be most likely someone on the back. It maybe even be KY or Speedy. He's got to be a little bit angry that his teammate ends up going down. No, it's actually going to be Vicstar and Mr. Savage. So
they've had a phenomenal game, too.
They have,
and Mr. Savage now taking the lead for most elims over Bayesian Canadian. Meanwhile, on the other side, another fight going down, too, and that's going to be Wolfless taking out Ant Venom, and Captain Sparkles now on the run. And this is unfortunate because how many times have we seen him trying to run away? TNT down as Speedy is going to drop off as well, so Speedy's sidearms, they're going to be eliminated. And now we're down to just 9 teams as Captain Sparkles gets eliminated himself. And man, that's a tough one to see because, like I said, Captain Sparkle's a talented player, loving his content whenever it comes to Minecraft on YouTube, and I want to see him kind of perform a little bit better as the tournament does progress. But 9, anything surprising you off the start? I mean, honestly, I got to say we're kind of mixing it up more and more as the elims do get underway. I'm liking to see fresh faces, kind of being up there for the most elims.
I agree, and I think that a lot of these teams are really trying to work disaster management, if you will, right? They don't want a horrible thing to happen
my language,
to them
9.
Because as they move around the map and as all of these good teams you're talking about start to get better and get warmed up, all of them are capable of taking a game. All of them are taking care as we see a little bit of collusion once again, a peace treaty, some diplomacy saying, I killed Techno, let me live. okay.
Yeah, all right.
Meanwhile, we'll get
Fair.
back to Techno's perspective as Wolfless continues the run and going after people does indeed take down Shotgun. So no mercy there, no diplomacy.
Love that. Shotgun's like, okay, cool. I made it through. I'm going to go and escape. And then, no. There's someone there to quickly take you down.
mind.
Wolfless is not interested in that diplomacy as you were talking about and hanging on the train tracks, feeling good and going for a little bit of that inventory places. But I want to kind of take a look, right? Best gear right now is going to be Jerome. Top score right now is Wolfless. He's only going to add to that with that last elimination. But Mr. Savage, most eliminations for the time. And speaking of Mr. Savage, he and Vicstar hanging out inside the middle, enchanting a few of these armor pieces, chainmail, swords as well. But here comes a fight. They may not be ready for this, but no.
I think this is Jerome.
Yeah, this is
Jerome and Filza.
It's actually no Beijing
this is
Canadian.
Oh, it's a Beijing Canadian now.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just looking at the enchanted armor, so I was kind of thinking to myself, like, okay, maybe, you know, that's them, because Jerome and Filza, they had enchantment pretty much everything. So, I mean, they're going to be a solid duo to watch out for. But here we go. Actually, here it is. Techno and Jerome, they're going to meet up, and this is going to be a big fight.
They're about to get flanked, too. There's somebody coming from behind. They're going to opt to retreat here immediately. You see now Technoblade being chased down. You do not see this very often, but you want to talk about a way to take them down. How about 3 teams meeting in the center? And this is the moment. This is where you could make up a lot of points if you get this pick.
Oh, Vicstar, Mr. Savage too, Landon.
It absolutely is, right? They're trying to toss out a few arrows. There goes Technoblade. Vicstar takes him down, and here comes the barrier. It's going to do some damage, but boy, did they take down the team that they aim to. They do have Ender Pearls. They've got food as well. What a big win that is for those boys as they drop the 2-time champions so far throughout this matchup. That is a big win to find, one that is worth the sacrifice, and unfortunately, DePenta trying to hide behind the cactus. He'll get taken down as well, as couldn't make it to that top 8. He was close.
I was wondering if he was going to be on top of one of these big mountains, right?
Yeah,
Maybe rocking a different skin. I don't think he had enough time, though, to kind of switch it out.
But I love that play, though, in the end of things. I know we're kind of switching back and forth between different players. I love that play that gets made. You know what, as Vicstar and Co., they have no problems, right? They want to try to go for the immediate engagement. They realize one of the best teams, if not the best team so far, is weak. We have to try to go for this 3P. I thought that was a phenomenal play, one that had to be executed for anyone else that's trying to get involved in that top discussion. And that might actually open the door potentially for Jerome to maybe try to, you know, and depending on how well they play, it could happen. Yeah, but that might set up the door to potentially, like I said, overtake that first place position.
Well, there's still 5 teams, so a lot of points still to be had. There's a total of 6 engagements that they can engage in, so that's 60 points. We talked about that, right, on game number 1. How many points can kind of add up with 10 points per elim, plus you got to be thinking of Victor Royale, 30 points. There's a potential of 90 points if they are able to wipe everyone in this lobby, but still, a couple of solid teams. And I'm looking at Vicstar, right? I'm looking at his teammate. I'm looking, of course, at Jerome and his teammate. I mean, those are 2 duos right now that I think are going to make the biggest difference. But in the middle, it's getting kind of spicy. Let's see who's going to be the first one to engage on this enchantment table. And I do know what Beijing Canadian, I think, is still in it as well, too, right?
That might have been the team that shot the arrow. I'm not sure, because we noticed Vicstar was trying to go for an enchantment. Unfortunately for Dang, a.k.a. S Major 1995. He is not in the greatest situation. He does have an iron sword. It's not enchanted, though. And while we do notice he's actually distracting the enemy, I think we might have saw a different team actually make their way toward the enchantment table. So that might have distanced them out a little bit and allowed for another team to kind of take that middle advantage. And I got to say, Wolfless has a diamond helmet, but an iron sword. I'm not sure if that's a bait, just something he happens to have out at the time. We were talking about it. Hey, go for the diamond sword. That's what you want. I mean, the kit's nice, the armor's nice, but if you don't have that sword to go along with it, it may not be the best combo. Like I said, depending on how players end up getting taken down, that may be the key. But here comes Jerome. Here comes Filza. This may be their opportunity, but everybody's getting involved in the fight. Our last few players are all on the edge of the zone. Mr. Savage nearly trying to escape, leaving a trail of TNT just behind him. Vicstar takes down Jerome. Wolfless drops Mr. Savage, and Filza is still hanging on.
Vicstar, Mr. Savage gone. Wolfless going off, clearly baiting out. He had that diamond headgear, and I think he does have a diamond. No, he still has the stone. So this is, or excuse me, the iron. This is kind of interesting, as you can see now. Just a 2v1 situation. Player on fire, and Wolfless takes out Filza. Wolfless going off. And now it's going to be a true 1v1 as TNT comes out.
No way.
Wolfless eliminates Lackland.
Oh, this is his, surely.
Wolfless is literally going off, and Wolfless.
We talked so much about the teams. How about the one that was left? Pay Money Wubby was gone for so long. Wolfless took out 3 fully kitted teams almost single-handedly.
What is going on? Wolfless, the man, the myth, the legend, single-handedly being a take this game. So quiet throughout all the elims, especially early on. But as mid-game came through, I know he got an elim. He was able to lock down 5 diamonds. He was able to come through and craft, baiting out a couple of players now thinking, oh, he just has a stone sword. It's not even enchanted. He's going to be, what is he going to be able to do in this situation? But quickly pulls out the diamond and then comes through big in the end. And that is going to be a huge turning point. Is he going to take over first place? No. But that is going to definitely put them in contention for top 3.
And I think that if you're Technoblade and Ballistic Squid, you are given the biggest thumbs up possible to Wolfless because that severely limited the points that any of the teams chasing you could have
Savage,
gotten.
Jerome.
That's a big deal. And I had this whole spiel prepared about how all of those teams being together, they would split the points.
Sure.
Nobody would really get a big score. Somebody did. It just wasn't any of those teams.
Yeah.
Wolfless, let's go.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal play from him. Like we said, we were kind of talking about him. Obviously, in this play right here, it takes down Captain Sparkles. He's kind of even hanging out. I think he took down Shotgun later on in the train track. So he was sitting pretty, but he was watching all those squads just with popcorn like, hey, this is phenomenal. When's my opportunity? When's my window? He seized it. And like we talked about, I thought you brought up a fantastic point there, Nine, in terms of like all these teams fighting. Like whoever comes out of it, it's fine, but you're all losing so much HP. Surely someone's going to kind of come here and start to dominate. What a play from Wolfless, right? The TNT in combination with rocking out those snowballs just to try and render the enemy useless. That was a big clutch that ends up taking place. And based on our scoreboard, things are starting to get interesting, getting dicey, right? Wubby, Wolfless, they enter in now toward that third place position. Sitting just above them is Jerome and Filza, who currently are at 410 score, but still off in the distance. That team who currently is at the top of the mountain, Technoblade and Ballistic Squid, with 554 overall points. Like I said, guys, things are kind of getting interesting. I'm kind of surprised by Shotgun and Log.zip. They're kind of in that top 5, top 6 discussion right now. They're not really making a whole lot of progression considering I think Log.zip got taken down somewhat early. Same thing with Shotgun. He got dropped by Lackland like somewhere between the mid-games. So a few teams are starting to fall off, but there are still teams who are kind of right there. We're talking about Jerome, et cetera, kind of there. Obviously, Wolfless enters now into the third place position after a huge clutch considering his teammate was – well, I don't even remember seeing his teammate like on the map.
Yeah, Pay Money Wubby. Yeah, he got eliminated early on, and that's, that kind of hurt them in the end. Wolfless going off right there was a feat to definitely recognize.
Like he was prepared.
Yeah.
Like you noticed, like he was
even
waiting.
the chat was going off, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was like a man on fire. But it comes to show you those 3P opportunities, right?
Oh,
those
absolutely.
third-person opportunities are absolutely massive.
Because everyone dived in at the same time.
And that was huge because everybody was just chipping away damage. Meanwhile, Wolfless is just coming in and he's not even getting touched because they couldn't even pay attention to him because there's so much going on. But putting him and his teammate in third place is massive because, coming into this, I did say, I think one of the surprise teams that we're going to see today is going to be Pay Money Wubby as well as Wolfless. And the reason is they got 7th last week and they're staying together this week. One of the top 10 teams to stay together this week alone. And I think they are going to surprise us moving forward.
Taking a look at now, we're moving into Factory, a map that we did not play last week. It is the new one that we did not get to see. So we'll see here how familiar our teams are with it. But it does look like we have some buildings here. Anytime there are buildings, you always have to be careful looking around any corner. We see Nepenthes getting taken out quick here, nowhere to hide. It's even more difficult rather, when you don't know it. But there are some trees on the side, so not the same level of verticality that we get sometimes in the mountains. It looks like Filza already getting in there, and Lackland goes down as well. So that's already a big, big player from a big power team getting taken down. Bajan will have to try to pull some clutch moves.
Yeah, he's definitely going to try to do that while Filza is just continuing on the hunt. Tozy surely is about to be dropped coming from the skies. Vicstar, though, as we take a look toward that kill feed, takes down Dan, Techno, Filza, like I said, all already involved. And here comes Vicstar potentially for 2 others. Or maybe not even having any weapons, maybe just going for some assistance. Okay, interesting. Oh, wait. Okay, I see what's going on here. So, this is James Charles, who changed his name to not James Charles.
Okay.
Along with his bodyguards, and Mr. Savage and Vicstar said, hey, you know what? We totally understand. We're not going to try to engage.
We have Good Sister 1, Good Sister 2.
I
love this, right? Because if you guys don't know, Hello Sisters is kind of the catchphrase for James Charles in the beginning of his videos, and now we have Good Sister 1, Good Sister 2.
awesome.
So the bodyguards coming out big. Now
Oh, no.
They haven't
Here
been
comes
successful in the
Technoblade.
past, but here's
Oh,
Techno,
no.
the one-man wrecking crew. Can the body armors, can the sisters go big and protect
Oh,
James
no.
Charles? Well, Good Sister 2's already been destroyed by Techno, and the other one is just running away. I don't even think they had weapons. Techno's on a massacre.
Oh my gosh.
James
Techno-
Charles, run away.
Techno just entered in that fight with not a care in the world. He said, "Hello, sisters. It's about the time
But
to
he's
get
down.
involved." And here comes another player, Jerome and Filza on the flank. There goes Technoblade. He got a little bit antsy. I know there was someone kind of at the flank of him, and the fight where he gets a little bit too aggressive at the start is the one that ruins him. We could argue James Charles with the clutch. He took down Technoblade in some way. He had a hand. He had a part to play in that.
I don't know exactly what to say about all of that, but I mean, Jerome and Phil, this is the opportunity, right? Ballistic Squid is still up, but Techno is off the map, and look at how well kitted they are already. That's almost full iron on Filza right now.
Oh my gosh, that's a great situation to be in. And here comes some TNT toward the mid. Log.zip, shotgun. Obviously, we discussed about this, last week, seeing he and Technoblade play so well with each other, is now on the run and looking to try and take down James Charles whenever he gets the opportunity, whenever he gets the chance.
Run.
But supply drops everywhere, and James Charles is on a sprinting spree right now. And they're telling him, "Stop. Here's gear." Oh, this is surely a bait. This is surely a bait.
Oh, no, don't stop.
I don't know. Oh, wait, here's Vicstar.
Could you
Vicstar's totally caught
imagine?
off guard. Vicstar didn't know that they were right here next to him, I don't think.
Are they protecting James Charles? What is going on? Is Shotgun Raid's going to try and take out Vicstar to protect James Charles?
Oh, no.
The element that none of us could have predicted, the agent of chaos, James Charles.
Look at this. Everybody is following James
Oh, no,
Charles.
he's caught on the wall.
Oh, wait, Vicstar.
Wait, are they all protecting
No,
him?
I think Vicstar is trying to protect him. I have no idea. And then Shotgun told him to stop because he wanted to give him some gear.
James Charles like, I'm not falling for it. Oh, no, he does stop.
Oh,
Oh, he does.
hold
They
on.
gave him gear.
What is going on?
The tides have turned, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's even on a team anymore?
What if this wasn't James Charles, though? It says not James Charles.
It's team one. It's James Charles.
Okay, you're
It's
right.
team one.
Yeah,
It's team
you're-
one. Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
it's
So,
true. That's a good point.
where's PewDiePie, though? Was PewDiePie dropped off early?
He might have been.
Who would have known? James Charles, the ringleader. Every team coming through. Someone's saying Dairy Queen. That's okay.
Technoblade crying for DQs
Someone
right
gave
now.
him a gapple? Someone gave James Charles a gapple, and they're just going to be chilling in the corner. Well, but then you got to be thinking.
What is going on right
Techno's
now?
like, where are these guys at? Because I got to come through and just actually no enchantment table and being in use and Skeppy running away gets tagged up a little bit.
He's got an Ender Pearl.
Shotgun saying, "Okay, James, I don't want to get DQ'd. Just run."
James no longer safe. Save yourself. This is interesting.
Nick 2018 is trying to give some advice. He's like, "This is what I would do. You got to run. You got to try to hide. No collusion here." As James Charles, well kitted. He's got plenty of food. He's got a golden apple, for God's sake.
Man, me go on, good sister.
Oh, look at this. Webby is stuck inside of a cobweb, and Filza will take the opportunity from that.
That hurts.
Oh, that's a shame. And here comes Wolfless. He's not
Oh,
happy about that
Enchanted
play.
Too.
Oh, my gosh. And Wolfless, like we said, the defending champion essentially from that last matchup. And
You're
Filza
kidding me.
wins supreme. 1.7 hearts. Takes down both players. What a moment that must be for Filza, right? Oh, my gosh.
And Wolfless was enchanted at that point too, plus had a diamond sword.
oh, my gosh.
That is a big
That's
win for
huge.
Filza, who
You see
is
best
now
gear, most eliminations.
And he was in his second place, I do believe, with his teammate, or at least top 5
Yeah,
for sure. So
were second.
with that being said, right, kind of taking over the lead, this is going to be massive, and you can only think Techno as well as his teammate. Squid goes down early on. This is going to be big. Jack going down, and Venom not stopping. A lot of elims still to be had. We're looking at 8 teams, 11 players on the map remaining. Still plenty of time. I think we're about at least 5 or 6 minutes until that final fight is going to take place in the middle. And James Charles, by the way, still alive.
He is. He's still hanging on.
Shotgun currently chasing after Ballistic Squid there. This is a big one right here. We were
Oh,
talking,
yeah.
Ballistic Squid was able to stay alive in that really nasty engagement at the start that did claim Techno here. So Ballistic Squid has been slowly racking up points on survival. I don't think we've seen any picks be had there. So Ballistic Squid just trying to run away from Shotgun.
Wait, this was the room. This was the room that James Charles was in.
Yes, it was.
He's surely hiding. James Charles.
He's running away.
He's going to try to go for the flank.
You're kidding me.
James Charles, you
going
got
after
this.
I love
shotgun?
this.
You've got this, James.
James.
Shotgun is the one who gave him the items, though. Could he betray him like that?
Take my vamos.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so TNT gets placed down. Squid trying to do some damage and might try to go for that high ground. I actually like this play,
Oh, no.
but the arrow might have tried to block him off, and James,
Are you kidding
he didn't
me?
get the kill. Shotgun, come on. That was the opportunity. James Charles was there for
I'm
the
giving
flank.
it to him. I don't care. He gets them all again.
He at least gets the assistance for sure, but wow, that was literally like, what, maybe a heart of damage that might have gone the other way. Filza takes down log.zip,
And again-
and now here comes Shotgun, who's just on the other side. Filza is a one-man wrecking crew, still holding on to that diamond enchanted sword that he got from Wolfless earlier.
Oh, man. You see it. Savage coming out and saying, Shotgun's still in the kills. James Charles still alive. Shotgun did not want to take him out.
Okay, so Cat and Sparkles and Ant Venom, they're back in mid. So I was curious what team during the quarrels, right, during all the fights that are amidst, who would be entering in back toward middle. So this is a team we haven't got to highlight a crazy amount, but it's good to see them in here. But look at this. Players also starting to get involved. James Charles entering back in the fray. And he might be on the run. Someone's probably at his backside, and yeah, it's going to be Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom. But here comes Shotgun,
Help, James,
the man
help
who
me.
has been the defender the entirety of this matchup. Unfortunately, maybe taken down. James Charles is dropped, but he did survive a long time.
And
Top
almost
8.
got a kill, too.
You got to give him some props. But Shotgun desperately trying to stay alive right now. Has some mushroom stews, but has no ender portals in his hotbar. This is going to have to be straight sword on sword if he wants to try and get out of this situation. You got to respect him, though. We did all he could for James, but trying to run through the tree line, just trying to do anything he can to stay alive. But surely, guys, he's going to be dropped here.
You got to imagine, right? Shotgun just continues to run away. Venom hot on the tracks. And there's another player actually in that corner. I don't know if you guys spotted him.
Yeah, everybody's here right
This
now.
is about to be a massacre in this building.
Oh, everyone just waiting right now. We don't see anybody on the kill feed there in the bottom left. People are just walking around. Like, everyone is in this building, but they're all tiptoeing around as if nobody is. So I love that. Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles wisely evacuating that area, saying we are not as well kitted out as the rest of them here. Let's maybe there's a spawn out here. Maybe there's a chest that somebody missed, but it's not going to be any better if we head inside. I like the fact that they're repositioning here. They're probably going to try to go for a flank. You can see Sparkles looking behind one. They
That might
do
be
spot
Shotgun, I
one
think.
off. Yes, just one. I think
Well,
that's
that's Filza.
Filza, actually.
Oh.
And that would be big.
Well, that'd be massive considering the weapons that he has, the performance that he's been putting up to this point. But here comes Shotgun. He tries to take down a few players just inside, goes for the Ender Pearl play, and at least will stay alive for now. Went on the sneak attack, but boy, is his presence felt as he is on the run. And on the other end, Filza finally has been caught, tosses out an Ender Portal, and decides to fade back, and he will disappear. I don't think he loses any hearts. If he does, it's going to be a slim amount. A good opportunity and a decent chance there for Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles, but they just can't get it
No
in time.
way. Who is this?
Oh, okay, this is Lauren. I thought that someone Enderpearled and got here, and I was like, wow, that's a blessing. But yeah,
this-
in the very top rafters,
This is
Lauren,
going to be a long game.
this is a lovely hiding spot, and I think she might be with a teammate up there. And
Lauren-
Shotgun's still hanging out on the outside. He's going to look to take down Junkie Janker, who's known for also staying alive toward the end game, but surely his presence is about to be dropped here soon.
I have to think so. Getting on
Oh,
the negation,
okay,
and Junkie
okay.
actually giving it back to Shotgun. And now they got to make their way inside the building because that zone's going to be closing in. They're going to be on the
no.
outside. Gapple's going to have to be eaten as well.
Now
And you
who's
see bodies
here?
are going to be dropping.
That
Filza
was-
comes
Oh.
through with the 2, but he's got to find a way in the building. The
He
Stormer's
does.
going to be hitting hard, and as soon as he enters the building, he's going to be relatively weak right into a team.
Oh my gosh, I love this dynamic right now, right? Because it's a matter of if walking into this building, you're going to be so caught off guard. And yeah, here comes Filza tossing out some TNT just behind him, looking to try to do some work. And he and, or rather, Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom are somewhat silenced. A 1v1 fight, but brought down to 8 hearts, now 5. Filza's about to go down surely. And yes, Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles will remain supreme. But there are only 2 players left,
There's
and
no
we
way they can
know,
find them. There's no
we
way.
know. Dang, that's a long name. S Major. They're up top, and they don't know where they are right now. They have no clue.
From the top
this is your
rope,
chance.
do it.
This
From
is
the
your
top
chance.
rope, he did it. Let's go.
Oh, and
He's
here
going in
comes
for
the
the
other.
attack, and the other comes down too. Landon, this is huge.
Oh no, Lord, last word alive.
Did they do it? They did it.
Oh my God, they do it.
They did it.
They took down Captain Sparkles and Co.
From the top rope.
Oh my God! I thought that they lost that. I thought that we saw Major end up getting taken down, but no, it was Captain Sparkles. What a play! It is about waiting till the end. We have learned that from our last 3 matchups, right? We saw Jerome do it in Game 3, Woofless in Game 4, and then Lauren & Co. in Game 5 along with S Major. You hang out, you wait till the very end when players are low, and then you engage. What a play and what a victory.
I just want to say, what can we learn from that? Nick, as well as Nepenthes, look at that and go up on the top rope, hide, and the next one, and come down and take your advantage, because this is your opportunity not only to get elims, but to also win the game. What a play. Come on. Seriously, we are learning new things literally game after game. And this is something that I talked about in the beginning, right? Techno, Ballistic Squid came out strong. Now we're starting to see some surprises from other teams.
Yeah, like I said, that happened last week with Vicstar and Pizza Hut. Like I said, they won, like, what, I think Game 2, 3, and 4, something along those lines. They won 3 in a row. It might have been even the first 3. And like I said, teams started to kind of overtake, as time went on. My big question was, I think that Lauren and S Major at the start of this game, and obviously we get to watch the replay, I'm almost positive that I saw those names go for chests at the start, because there were only like 3 players who did so. I thought that they were 2 out of those 3 players. They might have been in this building the entire game, because I want to say that it was Lauren and Major who were here, and if that's the case, I mean, it obviously works out pretty well. Regardless, though, as we take a look at our scorecard, it is still Technoblade and Ballistic Squid who are up here, 608 overall score. However, Jerome Filza just behind them at 536. Beige and Canadian Lackland rounding out that top 3. And in terms of our victors from that last matchup, we do see them kind of skyrocket themselves now towards 6, as they're going to be pretty much in a deadlock tie right here with Shotgun and Log.Zip. But like I said, guys, a very interesting last matchup. That's probably one of my favorites that we've had in all of Minecraft Monday, just because of all the sneak plays of the stuff that was kind of going on and the backlines, players dropping early. That was a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've gotten really good at not screaming while casting. I had to scream during that last match, okay? And that's something I've been working on, but that was too good. From the top rope, Golden Boy would be proud.
He would be, right? Like a Jeff Hardy swanton bomb just off of the balcony was interesting, that's for sure. But quickly, we're already diving into our next matchup, right? We're here in game number 6, going toward the map Military. And Taylor, you were talking about it a little bit, Nepenthes, Nick 28T. This is where they kind of had one of their best placements, right? They were kind of hiding in the tree line, making their way toward middle. That was one of my most memorable moments when it came down to that first tournament, our first week of Minecraft Monday. But
look at these players, though.
Off the start, I know we're looking at Dan TDM, but I think for the time it was like Vicstar and Co., who were surrounded by James Charles and PewDiePie. It looks as if fight's already going down in mid. I think it's a stick in the hands of Jack, so that's only going to do so much.
Uh-oh, Good Sister 4 enters the mix.
Oh!
So we have a Good Sister 1, 2, 3, and 4. How many can there be?
Well, I think Good Sister 3 is... That's wait, Good Sister 3 just found a kill! Wait.
That's a good bodyguard, getting paid to do what you need to do.
No, Good Sister 3 is a part of Team 1, which is either PewDiePie or James Charles.
It's probably PewDiePie. I think it's PewDiePie. It
Is
has
it?
to be PewDiePie. Come on, James Charles not going to be Sister 3.
But that was the same skin.
Sister 3? Why not Sister 1?
People in chat are saying, yes, James.
No way.
James got a kill!
Let's go.
Let's go, James Charles!
I'm happy. I am satisfied for the rest of the cast.
That's gotta be James
That's what I
Charles.
wanted.
Yeah.
Over, under, I picked over. I knew they were going to come through and get a couple of elims. That's one. They could get started and take over first place. You never know. When is the train going to end?
Oh my gosh, that was an impressive fight. What I think he took down, was it?
I don't know who he took. I don't know.
I think it was Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles, which is an impressive team.
Wait, so they were actually what in I believe like 6th or 7th place. So
That's impressive.
That's a
I'll
big
take
hit.
it. Military starting us off very, very well. That's for sure. Game 6 already treating us.
Oh, May got bodied by James. Good Sister 1 coming out. Some good sister died today. I salute you.
Oh, it was Captain Sparkles that got taken down.
Oh no!
I thought it was Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom, but I wasn't 100% sure. So props.
Content, baby.
It is content, that's for sure. Props to James Charles. L's being tossed out from the Good Sisters, who unfortunately are only floating heads for now, much like we are. But Good Sister 3, James Charles holding on, staying true, running past tanks and past all kinds of helicopters. People are already telling Captain Sparkles to delete his channel.
I love this little banter going back. The trash talk is real. Hey, we encourage it as long as it stays PG.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to remain in that realm. Things will be better from there. That's major. taking down TDM, the defending champion, right, from that last matchup. So got to be looking out for him and Lauren, that's for sure. But talented squadron hanging out toward the trees. And Skeppy, okay, actually ends up taking down both KYR Speedy and Sidearms. So that's going to be, what, 20 points just in that particular fight alone. And toward the shoreline, S Major looking toward the heads of which he's previously slain, grabbing some loot, and even going for a little bit of a dip. Maybe going for one of those chests that exists just toward the bottom shoreline.
I love this map, actually. I just realized, because the ships, I'm a Vikings fan. I mean, that's definitely not a Viking ship. And if that was a Viking ship back in the day, I'm really impressed.
There's no stealth if you walk slowly, right? That was just waiting for the exact right opportunity here. This is Pay Money Wubby and Woofless, a team that we talked about earlier.
My surprise team to take it.
Oh,
yeah.
surely they see them, right? They're just on the other side of the ladder. This is not going to work out at all.
TNT got tried to drop it at the top.
The boat's not going to sink, guys. The blocks don't really go anywhere, I'll be honest. And honestly, this is their chance, right? They can totally dive on them. I will say, water warfare, not the greatest call. And yeah, Wubby gets pushed out of the ship. And I think there are some arrows that may be fired away, but okay, Wubby somehow escaped. I don't know how Wubby just managed to stay alive there. His teammate is still firing arrows. Oh, and Woofless takes down Carson.
Yeah.
And now it's up to J-Schlatt. I didn't think that Woofless was going to be able to do a whole lot. Whoa. He actually has Interpearl in his back pocket, both down to low overall hearts.
Woofless is vicious.
And Woofless, I think before that, either took a golden apple or he took a stew of some sort because he was quickly gaining hearts rapidly. So props for winning that. Mr. Savage is on the run to try and take down Lackland, who was involved in that top 10 conversation on the scorecard just before we entered in toward this next matchup. Trying to use that flint steel, but it's only going to light himself on fire. Mr. Savage making quick work of him. And that's only going to help out he and Vicstar's score, which they desperately need to be improved.
This is a hugely competitive week, I got to say. It started off a little bit, rocky. I was like, oh, man, teams aren't going to be able to catch Techno and Ballistic Squid. But I got to say, everybody's having their moment to shine. So this is a really good tournament. I mean, you're even seeing the most elims now for Skeppy, right?
Big
Who
fight.
hasn't been able to do it before.
Big fight right now. Philza running away right now, and I think that the one was still there. Ballistic Squid going to continue to give chase. It looks like Jerome is caught in a really bad situation. I think Ballistic and Techno are discussing if they should go take that chase because they did split right there. And so often when we see a split, it's sort of a resignation of, okay, one of us is probably going down. Let's just see maybe if we can rejoin later, maybe lead them into another team. Because just like we saw last time, if one goes down, that's a huge deal. And Philza did rotate back over, so they did get the rotation they were looking for there. They should be able to escape here without losing anybody. Unless Techno says, I don't care if it's a trap, I'm going to run in anyway.
Oh, and I think Jerome was going to try to join him in the fight, and he actually has to reference back as well. He was not prepared for the flurry, but here comes a ton of fights inside of middle. The chests are refilled, but that's the least of everyone's worries. It's about trying not to get slayed out. Jerome ends up taking down Jack. Shotgun ends up getting taken down by Philza, who's also low on overall hearts, and from a sword gets knocked into the TNT.
Techno!
From the flank, Techno takes down
Jerome
Philza
and
and
Philza!
Jerome, who both were weak and were on the run, so their achievement, what they were looking to do, does get accomplished, but it does not go away without having a few bodies drop in the process, and now they are eyeing back that position toward middle. They unfortunately had to lose it for now.
That's huge.
And I'm curious who has overtaken that mid position. I don't know exactly who that is.
Asian Canadian, Quackity. Asian Canadian is going to get the elim, and Junkie, Janker, and Quackity are going to go down in the meantime. But
it's Vicstar, Mr. Savage.
That's a big kill, right? Of course, Jerome going down along with his teammate Philza. They were in second place in running. Now Techno, right? His teammate Ballistic Squid. They're going to be in the easy running to quickly regain a nice size lead once again for first.
But look at this sword.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's running in the middle here. Oh, okay. Watch out. Savage tried to jump in on Techno and got slapped for it. Now Savage has to be careful there.
Oh, no.
That diamond sword's going to go right to Techno.
Oh, my gosh. Everything he just worked for is wasted. And Techno played.
Richer.
Oh, my goodness.
How did Techno know that he was getting flanked? He immediately turned and hit him twice. That was remarkable.
You, eyes in the back of his head.
I mean, you have the ability whenever you're running to look behind you.
Look behind, yeah, maybe so.
That might have been like the quick reaction, but you just don't think of that play to happen just that fast. And Skeppy, Mr. Camo, I think maybe used an Interpearl, somehow managed to jiggle his way out of that fight, but even more resources to grab, right? They've got a lot. A lot of armor, and there's Nepenthes. Speaking of Camo. hiding in the trees. I respect the play from Nepenthes. It may not be the most glamorous perspective, but they're points. Points are points, hey. I respect that.
Listen, I'm all for it.
Look at that. They're able to throw away an enchanted iron sword.
I gotta point out, he literally is peeking around corners. It's not as if he's just like AFK. He literally is looking around like everywhere right now.
He's
Like,
got a
being careful.
sword. He's got a sword. Now, this is already a huge accomplishment.
He should-
Because normally they get
he should use
eliminated
the
right off the rip,
potions.
or they don't have anything and he just hides in a tree. He's actually kitted up a little bit, so he could fight.
Could.
I say that loosely. He could, yes. He
And
also
compasses
doesn't
are
have
going to be
chest armor, so-
available, actually, so they're going to be able to realize that he may be in the tree line. So Nepenthes' strategy quickly could start to fall.
Not the only one hiding, it looks like.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Hanging out
Venus
in
flight
tent.
trap strategy going on.
I was going to say, he does have a piece of TNT, so... okay, so I'll say this. Normally TNT would be good, but if you're in like a little room like that, that's the perfect place for someone to put TNT on you. So,
Kamikaze.
yeah, they definitely could work out that way. But like we said, Technoblade, Ballistic Squid, they are feeling confident in the middle of the map. And as soon as teams start to see them, you realize they quickly seize up. They're ready to have those bows out, ready to go. Major on one end. Here comes a flank, actually, and of which Wubby is not prepared for. Woofless also nearly being taken down. This enchanted diamond sword is just doing so much damage. And here comes another Ender Pearl. They are prime ready to go on this fight. And Vicstar and Mr. Savage, unfortunately, received the bitter end. Here comes Woofless back on full HP. Most likely took something of interest. And here comes the golden apple. This may work out in his favor, but right now, the Ender Pearl, can it work out? And yes, he manages to escape for now. So many Ender Pearls are being invested in this fight that they only need one more arrow to surely take him down. They can't land anything for the moment. Grabbing some resources.
Oh,
and
no,
Bajan
he's getting
Canadian,
shot!
Bajan Canadian was ready for those arrows. Looking like Legolas. Let's see if he can try to fight like him up close. But players, they're being so wary of their flank. Smart play from Technoblade. Here comes the Ender Pearl. So a quick advancement now back toward middle. And these fights are only going to continue.
It's going to be a big fight. Techno needs to win this to gain that huge lead in first. But he is going to be relatively weak, and he's forced to eat steak. Meanwhile, arrows continue to come in, knocking half hearts down left and right, but he'll get fully healed, luckily finding a nice little head on the ground. Asian Canadian, though, this is his moment to shine, because mind you, he is definitely top 3, and he's got to carry Lackland to victory.
He also does have double flint steels in the inventory. Both are super low right now. And you notice, I think he's trying to hold on to those just because he realizes he's going to have to place those down in order to do something. But Nepenthes, zone behind him, he's got to move in here soon, as he may be one of the stragglers who maybe could try and bait something out. That's his biggest benefit that he could provide to the table. Bajan Canadian trying to go for the quick enchantment. This may work out. He's going to be so careful. You see him quickly look toward his side. No one is going to be there, but here's Nepenthes who just manages to get out, and Bajan Canadian doesn't even see him. Nepenthes is going to try to go for a flank of some sort. Everyone's just allowing for Nepenthes to have the greatest time roaming through middle. Like, take your victory lap. It's only going to last for so long. S Major on the outside. Nepenthes. Oh, he backs up. He thought he had a chance. He's like, I'm sorry about this, Woofless. I didn't mean it.
Oh,
I didn't mean it.
Turn around and fight, my man.
I didn't mean it.
Here we go. 3P opportunity coming through. Nepenthes goes down, and now we're going to see a mass of players in the mix. Techno coming through. Bajan Canadian onto Wolfless. Eventually, though, Techno will get the elim and taking out Bajan Canadian. We are now down to just the last player. And
it's
it is,
Log.
in fact, going to be Log. So we'll see how well Log's going to be able to do on the run in the zone.
Wow.
And the rich get richer. Techno comes through big, along with his teammate, of course, Ballistic Squid. And they were already in first with about a 40-point lead. But, man, they are going to now be leading the way by at least 100 points, you have to think. A solid game, a lot of key moments there. And I think the key moment we kind of take away from this, James Charles got a kill.
He did. He did, in fact, find elimination, so you got to give him some props for that. I will say, though, in terms of Technoblade and Ballistic Squid, the biggest thing that they were trying to deal with was the teams that were just behind them, right? Jerome and Co. They were just on their heels. They get taken out, not super early, but not early enough, or rather not late enough to the point where they're going to really influence the score all that much. And the one team who was really struggling was Vicstar and Mr. Savage. They're the ones who were there at the end. So if there's any benefit in terms of the scoreline for the first place team, it's that, hey, our big kind of victors against us, the guys who were really contesting us, got taken down early. A team who was in the midst of kind of being a top-tier team who is having a slow performance at, what, maybe 6th, 7th, 8th position right now. had a good run. So for them, all things considered, this is not a bad run. Like I said, Log.Zip had a few good moments here for he and Shotgun, but I don't think he really contributed a whole lot when it came down to the eliminations. It was just strictly about placement for them. And as we take a look quickly at our scoreboard, like we talked about, Technoblade Ballistic now had that 764 score. Jerome and Filza just existing behind them at 582. And Bajan, Canadian, and Lackland barely holding on. We've been watching Wubby and Wolfless continually rising throughout that scorecard, as now they're just going to be a few points behind in that 4th place position. Just following them, we've got Vicstar, Shotgun Raids, Major, Captain Sparkles, Jack, and Junkie Janker, all those teams just hanging on to those top 10 positions. But like we said, guys, only more matches to come. That is 2/3 of our way through Minecraft Monday. We've still got Game 7 through Game 9 coming up right after this.
With fallen trees, it's hard to breathe, but I'll keep fighting. With broken walls, nowhere to fall, but I'll keep climbing. I can't see, I'm in the dark, surrounded by...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday. We are live here at week number 2, live from the UMG studio. It's myself, Lando Sanders, joined in part by Reflections and 9 Whole Grains. Guys, we are 6 games in. We've got 7 through 9 left. We've still got one dominant team remaining on top, but that hasn't come without its adversities. We've seen a few teams starting to kind of get up in the mix a little bit, kind of previous, or rather kind of coming into that game number 6. 3 games leading into it, it was all sneak picks, guys who were kind of coming on the flank, teams who were kind of hanging out in the rafters, going for sneak attacks. You were calling what was like Jeff Hardy swanton bombs right off of the balconies. They were making some incredible plays, so I'm curious if that will only continue and whatnot. We were kind of discussing it kind of coming into this next match, off of the break. It was a matter of, realistically, if we see Technoblade and Ballistic Squid have one more solid game of which they win, they are in a very good spot to hold on to that first place position.
Absolutely, because they're sitting at a current total of 764 points. And not to mention, too, Jerome, Phil's, they're going to be in second place, trailing behind by almost 200 points at 582. But I will say things are getting pretty interesting. Third through fifth, only 132 points separate those guys. So with that being said, we're now on game number 7. We have 3 total games left. Now is the time to put up or shut up, because if you do not get your points here, you will not be able to take over first place. This is for all the money.
Right, you assume that they get maybe 100 points, maybe a little bit more there if they get the victory. There's just not much time, not enough elims left mathematically. I'm not going to crunch all the numbers for you, but Landon put it best.
I thought you couldn't.
If they win, if they win this game, that is going to be it. So we see Nepenthes going out there and getting. Is that the first time we've seen
James Charles.
Nepenthes get it?
Yes,
that is
that
probably
is.
one of the first ever elims he's ever got.
Congrats on James Charles.
It is a week of firsts, that is for sure. Sidearms, Speedy, pretty much bullying everybody here toward the sand, toward the shoreline. I think his teammate might have bumped him in just toward the opposite side. So lovely play coming through from KYR Speedy and Sidearms. Like you said, Taylor, now's the time to put up or shut up. And now they're doing exactly that, trying to go on the hunt for Junkie Janker, who might have to do a little bit of parkour to try to escape. Going from one leaf pad to the next, unfortunately gets pushed forward, which may work out to his benefit in some way. However, Sidearms going for the sprint off the lily pads, and it looks as if Junkie Janker might get to that shore first. He's holding on. He's doing everything he can, and he does have an iron sword. You'd like to think that maybe the reason why he's backing up is just because of how low overall he is right now.
He also has a gap full. Bayesian Canadian going down? That's a big hit. He was definitely in the running to take over first, and Lackley going down 2. And that's going to be a big hit, right? Because they die right off the beginning. Now 17 teams remaining. They were the 18th team to fall. That's a lot of elims that you're missing out on, a lot of 10 points that you could be getting, along with 2 points for survival. And finally, it looks as if Sidearms has caught up for the time being, but it's going to be a long race.
On the waterfall.
Just spamming
Oh,
it
it
out.
actually might work out.
This is the low ground, and actually Sidearms is going to have the advantage on that low ground. This is exactly the position he needs to be in.
Well, it will be an
depending if you're able
advantage,
to catch him.
but it's also a negative, right? Because you're constantly pushing up Junkie Janker to get higher up that waterfall, which makes it so difficult to take you down. He also manages to get on that tree, and yeah, he's off for the races again. What a play this was. It looked like I said, it's a good spot for Sidearms in terms of the melee, but as you're pushing him up, you're only giving him an advantage to escape even farther. And yeah, he's off to the races. He's totally out of there, at least for now. Like, he'll probably get caught up eventually, but you got to give him some props.
Heck no. That's 4 elims he's gotten to span
Oh,
of like
no.
a couple,
Dull and
maybe
dark.
like 30 seconds. That is a huge push. No.
We were just trying to eat some cake, Vicstar. We don't want to mess. We don't want to mess
Who
around.
doesn't like cake? Come on, don't interrupt him when he's eating cake.
No.
Arrows in the body, slowly drowning out. Dolan in such a terrible position.
Oh, good sister too, by the way, is taken now, along with Sky the Kid.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And I want to point
What
out
is down
too,
here?
look at best gear, top score, most elims. Who's on that landed?
What was that?
Best gear, top score, most elims. That's Techno.
Oh, that is Techno.
He's got it all locked down.
Oh gosh.
I kid you not, he's sitting at like 6 elims
Does he
this
already-
game alone. That's 60 points that he just amassed.
Is that
within,
enchanted?
Like 30 seconds.
I can't tell if that's enchanted. I don't think that's enchanted.
No, that's just the the sword. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, the sword's enchanted for
Oh, is
sure.
it?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Wow. I
This
couldn't
early
tell.
on.
for
An
a second.
enchanted diamond sword, and the game's been going on
How?
3 minutes.
He's already, like I said, he's already elim 6 people.
How do you do that?
6 people?
Technoblade, you might have to 1v2 next week. Not that you still couldn't
No.
win,
We
but
talked about it. Put him with James Charles.
no, I mean, hey, that could work out too. It'd
We've
be
already
interesting
seen.
to
We
him.
have seen James Charles take some blood in this.
We have. I think it'd be interesting to see how well he could do straight up 1v2. I think he can honestly still break like top 8, like realistically.
Look at Dolan is literally on his last leg.
Oh, it's Sistar 123. Vicstar has changed his name. I love that. And as we transfer from one All-Star to the next, yeah, we're calling it that. Nepenthez hanging out, waiting.
Not the best camouflage this time, though.
It is not. Leather versus the green from the tree. You know,
I would say get on the dirt at least.
what a lovely perspective.
And
that
you know,
this
he's not
is.
moving. He's
Oh,
chilling
he's
out.
not. Absolutely not.
He's going to pick up some food. He's cooking, you know, a bowl of cereal.
Cooking a bowl of cereal.
I knew I was going to get called out.
Just got your pots and pans and just, pour some milk into it.
So we have a little lull here. One of the things I want to note is at the very beginning, we actually saw Technoblade and Ballistic Squid go straight for the ship. They were the first ones to make it to that big ship, and I think that's where they got a lot of the nice gear that they have right now. And from there, they just continually waited for people to also come to the ship as Techno continually
Oh,
spent.
no!
This is a
No,
big
not to
battle.
fall. Oh,
Well,
okay.
there goes all
okay.
the loot. That just makes things a lot more difficult.
Can he dive
Yeah.
into the water? I think he can.
He can, yeah. But you got to be careful, though.
Gotta be
'cause you never
careful.
Well,
know.
that's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering if he's going to take the dive because there's a lot of loot down there that he needs to get.
That's a good point. He might do that.
Look at that. Somebody swimming in the bottom left corner.
That's a red cape that might be Captain Sparkles or Ant Venom, actually. Not exactly sure. But by the way, I love the Vicstar team, or rather the name change to Sistar. I think that's fantastic. Props to Vicstar. I think he deserves an extra few points for that. By the way, as we were talking about kind of lulls, right, a little bit kind of going throughout the map and whatnot, we also got to give a massive thank you to Keemstar and to Cosmic Skyblock. They were the ones who helped contribute, making this tournament possible, even allowing for the prize pool to be where it is at $10,000. I mean, we obviously talk about the credit of trying to win and to be a part of this tournament, but that $10,000 prize is definitely going to treat you nice. So massive thanks to Keemstar and to Cosmic Skyblock on Twitter. You can @them. Make sure to follow them, guys. It wouldn't be possible if it was not for them. So massive credit. But here comes a big fight, boys. What we've got: Sistar, Mr. Savage, Log.Zip, and Shotgun Reigns. They're all over here toward the shoreline in the water. And Mr. Savage decides it was a perfect time to go ahead and pull out that Ender Pearl. Trying to hold on to these lily pads is crucial as one gets pushed off. Log.Zip trying to dive down, but he's taking so much health loss. Has cakes, has a compass, but no ender pearls as he just looks off to the skies, hoping that this one will end soon.
I love these fights. It's just
Oh,
like
Techno just took down Filza.
I'm looking at this like slowly like gaining on Shotgun, and it reminds me of just like a very terrible, poorly made zombie movie. as these zombies just slowly start to gain ground on
Can
you.
I hear a zombie noise, Taylor? There you go. I was just curious. That actually sounds pretty similar to
Yeah, that was good.
like the zombies in Minecraft.
I'm telling you,
That's
see,
pretty
I've
clever.
Been doing my research.
Oh, is
trying
Mr.
to-
Savage actually going to try for this?
Surely not. Oh, but Vicstar jumps up on the other side. He's currently 1v2, and now Mr. Savage's chance to get involved. Shotgun nearly being pushed off the boat with
He's
one
good.
heart. He's got one heart of health.
Where are the arrows?
Oh, my goodness.
Nepenthez has been spotted, by the way. He's gone.
Yeah, Techno, of course, ends up dropping him. That's like his 38th elim of the
I
game.
think Techno like enjoys finding them.
Oh, and jumping off the lily pad, Sistar, Mr. Savage. They absolutely have the advantage here. They go for the man who had the more hearts of the two. And now, I believe it is up to one more player. And okay, he gets dropped instantly. I thought for a moment that there was actually a chance that we could have saw a clutch be made. But no, one heart off the boat. Not going to accomplish much. And Technoblade already, like we talked about, Diamond Sword that's been enchanted. Ballistic Squid also just enchanted his Diamond Sword as well. They're back in middle. They're feeling good while everyone else is just hanging out on the outskirts.
And this is basically going to secure their spot, like to potentially take the entire thing.
Oh,
at
yeah,
$10,000,
for sure,
'cause,
right?
I mean, they're already.
We
have
said
what,
like one solid game, if
Yeah.
not a victory, should do it. They're already having a solid
they had
game.
what? Let me go back to my picture of the scoreboard because I know they had a solid lead. Almost 200
Yeah, it
points
was-
because they were sitting at 764. Jerome and Filza at 582. Now, I think Jerome and Filza have already been eliminated, right?
Filza is
has.
Jerome
Filza
is
has.
still running around.
Okay, so that, I mean, that is a huge positive. But you got to be thinking, yeah, if they lock this down, I mean, they are sitting at, what, 8 eliminations, I think, already.
And
this
Filza was
game
taken out
alone.
by Technoblade, which is really
Yes.
important to reference. So it was like not as if he happened to die by fall damage
Oh,
or
there
something
goes
like
Jerome.
that. Okay. Yeah,
But
Mr.
they're going to
Savage
get
drops
at
him.
least 80 to 100 points
But
already.
Still, that's
off
a
of
victory.
elims.
That's a victory for Technoblade and Co. That's fine if Mr. Savage and Vicstar are finding elims, because as long as the team that is just below you is continually struggling and not making a ton of advancements, that only benefits you. You can honestly thank them for taking down those players for you, because that's realistically the team that has to make the swing. That's the team that has to make the push.
And something that I'd like to reference is that entire fight that we just watched there for the last little bit started because people were chasing after Filza and Jerome. And then the other two big teams got involved with that fight. All the while, Techno, he was just chasing after everyone
Yep.
else he could find. Say,
Yep.
go ahead, fight. If that's the only place you can get your elims, I am okay with that. We're going to sit here in the middle, get double enchanted diamond swords, full iron armor. This is looking ugly here. It's going to take a miracle to beat them this game, much less over the course of the tournament.
And look at this. The enemy thought that Technoblade was going off. However, that's not the case. Who is this? I think it might be S Major. Oh my gosh, quickly being foiled. Double swipes, trying to do all he can.
That wasn't even fair.
That was not fair at all. No health loss whatsoever for Technoblade, and I love that. Ballistic Squid was going to go for somebody else. He quickly looks backward and was like, "Wait, Technoblade, are you coming? Like, I'm not going at this alone. I got to have you here with me." Respect to play. Obviously, Technoblade is looking like a one-man wrecking crew throughout Minecraft Monday week number 2. I think that was Captain Sparkles and Ant Venom just existing on the outside. And here is Junkie Janker. Can he get there in time? It's still in the zone and trying to climb all the vines he can. Still taking quite a bit of health loss. Can he escape? And he might have to go for the dive. Oh, no! Junkie! Oh, a very valiant position.
And
Could not
another
make a
one.
whole lot happen.
Oh, no.
Oh, they're losing so much health by just
I
getting here.
know.
And who else is here, right? Who is the team that has been existing in this middle portion of the map?
Got to be Techno.
Absolutely. It's been these guys.
And they have, I mean, basically, they have enchanted armor. They have enchanted swords. I mean, they are looking solid. And look at them. I mean, aggressive. They know they're going to come into this. Everybody else is going to have a disadvantage because their gear is so incredibly powerful. And they're just going to continue to push. Mr. Savage is going to be the first victim. He's going to go down quickly, focusing the attention onto Captain Sparkles. TNT, no problem. We'll take the damage and still push you in the end. Captain Sparkles dropping. And now it is up into 3 teams left. So it's going to be, of course,
There's one more play. Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's
There's
going
Techno.
to be a dub or a duo versus
Wait,
a solo.
where was Vicstar?
Sistar goes down, and now it's only a 2v1.
So I guess Vicstar was going for an enchantment while his teammate was 1v2ing Technoblade.
And there it is.
Wow.
How many
That is at
elims?
least 12.
How many elims did Techno by himself get that game?
I think like I
Enough.
said, at least 12. Like we're talking, they at least got 150 points from elims alone. This game alone. Like that is massive. They already had a 200-point lead. Now alone they get about 150 points per elims. Plus you got to be imagining they get the 2 points for each survival. Plus they get 30 points for the victory round. They at least got close to 300 points right there.
And with that victory here on Breezy, they've also tied the record in Minecraft Monday history for the most dubs overall by a team, which was done actually by Shotgun and Techno last week. They won 4 overall. This duo just tied 4, and we still have 2 games left.
And on top of that, too, what you said 200, I believe, was from Vicstar and Pizza Hut last time.
Was the
for
top score.
The top score, and they just smashed that record.
But the thing, too, was that Technoblade and Co., they didn't have to do a whole lot. Like, they
Look
kind of
at-
just sat in middle for
look
the
at that
longest
score, Landon.
time.
Look at that score line.
But that's the thing. Like, the players who rose in this, that you could argue, Sistar and Mr. Savage. But they're already in 5th place. You needed that swing from Jerome and Filza. Obviously, Technoblade and Ballistic Squid still win this game, but you needed that from the team that exists in 2nd place. You needed that from the team that exists in 3rd. What did we see happen? Filza drops decently early. Bajan Canadian was dropped, I think, very early on. I don't even think we got to watch Lackland. The 2nd and 3rd place teams aren't putting up much of a fight. It's really the teams that are in 5th, 6th, 7th place who are having some good moments. So that's the only issue right now, is that the teams who need to perform aren't. And that those are the only chances that you're going to have to take down Technoblade and Ballistic Squid. And I'll be honest, toward the end of games, be in the game chat. Like, you got to engage. Like, whenever there are two guys who have two diamond swords that are enchanted, who have iron armor, everything, all the
Enchanted armor,
spoils
yep.
perfectly, you have to work together to try and engage. Like, we even saw a few teams at the end go 1v2 back-to-back. You can't have that because the way that these guys are winning fights is by singling out players, going toward middle, and middle as well is also a massive benefit. If you're there kind of toward the, I don't know, maybe like a 3/4 of the way through the game, you're kind of almost playing a gatekeeping role, which is pretty much just existing right on the inside of the zone, right before that circle starts to move in. You're kind of playing that constant 3P role. What do we see from everybody who's starting to enter in toward the circle? They're weak. They're losing health from the storm. They're taking fall damage off the top of the mountains. They're all so low, and that's not going to help, especially when these two guys already have diamond swords. It's pretty much like literally being thrown into the lion's den when these guys are all kitted up. You're already weak, and you're not willing to work together. It's never going to happen. I think for the future of these matchups, if teams want to take them down, they have to play it out. They have to go like 4v2, 6v2 fights, and that's what's been the key of success, right? We talk about Jerome wins game 3, everyone's fighting. Wiffles wins game 4, everyone's fighting. You have to engage like that. You can't take them all head-on 1v2, 2v2 fights. You just have to kind of collapse on them. You have to almost just try to overtake them as a unit rather than just as, you know, a group of solos, I feel like.
I mean, very well put. Everything I was going to say right there, but I got to say the enchantment table, very big point to lock down because if you get your stuff enchanted, you're going to have a huge advantage. And you kind of saw the massacre at the end where they picked Techno as well as his teammate. Ballistic Squid were able to lock down a lot of eliminations, and you saw the viciousness from them. They were just able to push players left and right with disregard the TNT, disregard to even getting tagged up. They had no fear in them, and why should they, right? Full enchanted armor, full enchanted weapons. Not you literally, you can't be touched. So locking down this enchantment table is something that Techno as well as Ballistic Squid have locked down, and that is something to really note. But, man, the lead that they have, 962 score. The closest one, 622 with Jerome and Filza. Techno, Ballistic, looking unstoppable. This game could be a huge turning point if Jerome and Filza can come through big. If Techno and Ballistic go down early on as first blood, this is going to be the moment where Jerome and Filza can smell blood in the water.
And if everybody remembers, last week, they actually did not do well on this map.
And
This
there
might
goes
be the
Filza.
one. Oh, no, Filza going down that early?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I don't want to be so bold as to make a proclamation that did it right there.
Yeah, I mean,
but
to be fair.
having their attacking force cut in half is a huge deal. But take a look here. Techno took some big damage there and is currently running away. This might be the end of Techno for this game, too. That's a hit. Techno's down.
It's log.zip, too. Finally got his revenge. And that's a big fight to win, but this is not going to stop here. A lot of Elam still to go down. Like we talked about, I believe that Ballistic Squid has yet to be taken down. I know he's not currently on our perspective as of this moment. But yeah, like I said, while we do see one of the top players, or rather the second place team end up getting taken down, and there goes log.zip. That was a big chance to try to rise, but unfortunately he gets taken down right after taking down the main man, the MVP throughout Minecraft Monday, Mr. Technoblade.
And it's a point shuffle right now. It's
Yeah.
every team that loses one but then keeps one up, it's just shuffling the same amount of points here. I think the only team that is still at full strength is Vicstar and Mr. Savage.
Right.
This is their chance, but they have to score big points if they want to put themselves in the conversation for second place, much less first.
Because they're only at 418 points. So if they go off and get a massive game like we saw from Techno and Ballistic last one, I mean, still, that's only going to put them at 630-something. And, I mean, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to take over first. So with that being said, what is Nepenthes doing?
Oh, he's running right in front of them. Oh, he's being attacked from the back.
Okay.
I was going to say, like, why is he trying to flank and then do that? Is there another Good Sister? I think I saw Good Sister 8. There's quite a few Good Sisters out there. They're all fantastic. Oh, what a kill coming in from Skeppy. Ends up dropping, who I believe was Woofless, who was down to like 3 hearts. Seizing a good opportunity. Like I said, not the greatest overall situation that occurs, but still stays alive. And look at this. Ballistic Squid. This is the guy who's in first place right now, loses his teammate Technoblade, and he is rendered useless. He's hanging out in the library. He has a gold axe, and that is it.
Trying to get those survival points is going to be extremely crucial for him to get, right? Because he knows his teammate's down. He's got a massive lead. Any points that he can acquire is going to be massive, especially moving forward. But look at this. A big battle going through mid, and who is going to be in this vicinity? Well, it's going to be a couple of players,
Couple
and
of sisters.
Junkie is going to go down. Sister still remaining strong. You love to see the sisterhood going big, but Ant Venom getting taken out by Sistar, Vicstar, going big.
What is happening here? Who even is this?
I think this is both Nick and Nepenthes. I think they both escaped.
Oh my gosh, you're correct. Actually, this is. Oh, back to some actual fighting. Jerome trying to take down Carson, and yeah, will be eliminated. Good stuff coming in from Jerome, like we said, and like we've been kind of discussing. He's trying to make his way up that scorecard. It's just looking so insurmountable. They've got to have a solid performance. We're talking about like teams who are kind of losing teammates at this moment. They need to have a solid matchup, and if you're Jerome, you have to pick it up for the squad, considering that you've lost your squad mate. You got to put on a performance if you want to even try to challenge for that first place position. And Skeppy, I thought for a moment he might actually be using an iron skin, an iron block skin, but Nick 28T is showing us you don't have to use a skin to hide. You can just literally hide behind a corner. It's totally fine. Speaking of hiding, Dylan Dark only able to do it for so long. Shotgun comes through and ends up raiding him, for example, which is going to be nice overall. But I know I was talking about Skeppy kind of hiding out. He actually has the most eliminations. So that's somewhat surprising, I'll be honest. I'm not used to seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, I
give
think
some credit.
A couple of games back, Skeppy did, in fact, have the most elims for a short period of time. So it's kind of nice to see him regaining that momentum once again, and it all comes off the break. A lot of solid teams getting eliminated early on, or at least one player. And we have
It's speedy.
Outside down below. Now, you want to talk about hiding. This right here is the ultimate form of doing so. I mean, who's going to be suspecting of this? And how do you even go for the attack on this?
I love this. K-Wire Speedy sees the indicator that, oh, chests have been refilled. Let me just look right below me really quick. All right, there's the chest. I don't think they're going to find a whole lot of incredible items to really kind of change up their strategy, but all teams are thinking about, hey, maybe we should try to hide out. And Bajan is like, where is everybody at? What is going on? People are even throwing out bets, take down players, and maybe K-Wire, Speedy, and Sidearms are finally starting to see the light as Skeppy, the guy we were talking about, the most eliminations, ends up taking down Ballistic Squid. So the farthest that Ballistic and Technoblade will get is to this very point, right, where there's still 14 players alive. So by far, their worst game as of yet, but it comes at a point where they're already at such an advantage.
We'll have to take a look at what the final score is now. Jerome, you currently have 12 people, 12 elims left, 120 points available, about to be 110. But there are still points available. Jerome needs to get as many picks as possible here at the very last bid. That's going to be very difficult to do. Skeppy is geared up. Bajan Canadian and Blackman are still up. Real Think Noodles is gone. I don't know if there are enough points left on the map for Jerome to bring them close enough to have a shot in that last game.
And that was a phenomenal combo from Skeppy, coming through with the sword, getting some damage. TNT down, immediately followed up with an arrow. That's the kind of stuff you love to see, seeing some technical skill sets coming through. I always appreciate seeing combos like that in this because it's incredibly difficult to pull off, but it's also a lot to think about. More so, I appreciate that more so than just the straight-up sword fights, right? Even though there's a lot of skill in that, getting that first hit is important, is crucial, coming in for the stun, but combos like that make me excited.
Now, I will say, there is one opportunity left for Jerome to make a big, big play here. As we start to get to the compasses here at the very end, you see that the people are starting to move towards the center. There are two big, strong teams that are currently left. If Jerome can pull a Woofless, wait until they've all fought a little bit, move in, and get your picks there. Even if you only get 2 or 3, that's still something, especially if you can cement yourself in that top 3 teams, because that'll be, what, a 50-point swing?
Sure.
But that's what he has to do. And we've already seen Jerome is willing to play the waiting game. We saw Jerome actually take a game doing just that earlier.
Yeah, it's what you're going to have to try to pull off right now. We talk about teams that are existing toward the mid. It's really been relying off of just playing passive, waiting for your opportune time, and having to seize it. You want to try to get those survival points. They do matter. And speaking of survival points, that's exactly what Nick 28T is attempting to do. Hanging out, not moving hardly at all. And I will say, if you're going to be AFK like that, like the fact that he's still looking around his every position, and I don't even know if he has any
he
armor.
doesn't have any armor.
He has
had
anything. So,
Do you think he knows how to change skins? Or do you think he's choosing the default
I
skin?
feel like he had a skin last week. Has he gotten worse to the point where he forgot how to put it back on? I'd hope not.
I have no idea.
I would say I'd be running from Skeppy right now, too. I don't blame anybody for trying to get out of dodge in his position. This guy has been lighting it up. could definitely be a future player to look out for. I know based on the scores right now, you're not going to see a crazy amount kind of change when it comes down to that top 2, top 3, but still, Skeppy proven that what he's been known for in past is not very accurate in terms of his overall skill. Actually, being prone or either being AFK is not his overall skill set, and I think Good Sister maybe sacrificing themselves by accident, maybe just likes the pain, whatever. It happens.
I have no clue what was going on there.
I've still yet to figure out who this was. This was like what?
It's Team 7. Hold on, I got you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's Shotgun and Log.zip, maybe?
No.
No, it surely isn't.
Well, that's Team 7 on my notes. I don't know.
Oh, and there goes one. So KYR Speedy gets dropped, and Shotgun may be dropping another. So we talked about where's Shotgun at? Well, he's right there, and there he went. Bajan Canadian coming in for the Elim as he and Lackland were able to find quite a bit of inventory space off of that, dropping a diamond, but it's not a big deal. And here comes Skeppy. Lovely sniper shot coming in with the bow. Just on the stairs, however, here comes the big engage. Desperately trying to stay alive and will for the time. Thankfully, throws out that Ender Pearl, lives to see another day. Escapes from the depths of where Vicstar and Mr. Savage are currently. So down to our final few teams, 8 players overall. What we've got Lackland and Co. on one side. Good Sister 1 just gets taken down by Bajan and Lackland just there.
Whenever they do that crouch. Always good to see. We're down to 5 remaining teams, 7 total players.
So what we've got Mr. Savage and Vicstar. We've got Lackland and Bajan Canadian and Skeppy, right? That should be at least 5 out of the 7 players. There might be another team.
Jerome is still somewhere.
Okay, yeah, Jerome is still. Yeah, I don't even know where Jerome is.
We haven't seen Jerome in forever. The last time we didn't see Jerome, he came in and stole a victory, so we'll see.
He's going to be one of those blocks up top, surely. He's ready. But here comes that zone, right? It's starting. The barrier's starting to move in. And these players have to be very careful. You notice they're going to go and try to take that high ground, but unfortunately it's going to be overtaken. They're going to lose some hearts off of this, so not the best investment at this point in the game. Bajan very carefully enters back in as well and has to look toward every single corridor. Skeppy gaining some HP.
Uh-oh.
Bajan tossing out, and I believe
Nick,
Nick!
So Nick 2018
hero
is
with
one of the
0
final
hearts.
players. Oh, no! He had a diamond. He had diamonds and stuff to work with. Why did he not use them?
Because it's just not his style.
It's not his style.
He's a pacifist. He likes just hanging out, being a part of the game, but just kind of chilling out and
Oh, there goes
playing a different
Skeppy.
type.
A solid performance so far in this game, but Mr. Savage and Vicstar are looking like one of the most dominant teams up to this point. But Bajan Canadian channeling the inner Legolas.
Where's Jerome?
Looking fantastic. I don't even think Jerome's alive right now.
There are 5
no, there's
players
5.
and we
You're
see
right.
4.
Oh, you're right. You were totally right, 9. There's someone still alive who could try to make somewhat of a splash. These players aren't ready for it. TNT is being blasted. He looks at Bajan taking quite a bit of the damage. Lackman decides to come in from the side. Takes down Mr. Sister M, who I believe was Mr. Savage. And now here comes the TNT. There goes Vicstar. And now it's Bajan Canadian up with Lackland. And where is the final player? Here comes Jerome from out of nowhere, making a WWE-type entrance, but it's not enough.
He got
Laser will
get
be
one.
able to stay alive. Props to Jerome. I think he took down his fellow teammate, his longtime friend, but regardless, it will be a victory toward Bajan and Lackland. You got to give him some props for that, but I don't even know. I have no idea where Jerome is hiding. I got to be honest. Like, we kept calling it out, and I was like, surely he's not alive. We haven't seen him. He was somewhere
Hanging
in the
out
Coliseum.
corner. Yeah, he was hanging out in one of those holes, and you kind of noticed that when Bajan Canadian came through. That's why he was checking every single corner, and that's
He's
exactly
like, Jerome's
where
running here
he was
somewhere.
hiding
I know this guy.
And Jerome was hiding in one of those corners, but you kind of pointed out, 9. Jerome picked up an elim during that last fight. Jerome is, Phil's partner. They were in second place. They were sitting at a total of 622 points. So closing that gap, getting as many points as possible is crucial. Techno, Ballistic Squid got eliminated early on because of that.
But they still found eliminations.
They did still find eliminations, but whenever the score does pop up, we have to see how close were they able to close that gap because we know how many points can be acquired. If Jerome and Philza come through big in the last game, in game number 9, and take Techno out and Ballistic Squid out early on, they can close the gap. Let's look at our score now. Technoblade, Ballistic Squid, 978, just below 1,000. Now, I will say this, though. Jerome Philza, 724. this is possible for them to come back. 250 points, but it's going to be highly dependent. Can Techno and Ballistic go down early on? Based on survival points alone, that's going to be a big move. If Techno and Ballistic can stay up, just gain a couple of passive points, it's going to be huge. But Jerome feels it could close the gap. Now, third place, though, it's going to be a little bit impossible for them to come through. It's going to be highly dependent. How well can Jerome and Philza be?
My only thing is that what's the record for most points in a game?
I think we saw it tonight from Techno and Ballistic.
It's been like 200,
But
right?
It's around 200.
They got about
So-
200 and something.
So they're going to need 254 just to tie it. So you're kind of banking on having the best performance of all time in combination with having the most dominant team in the tournament dropping it back-to-back games. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, like everyone else is, it's not the most likely. It can be a possibility, but we're going to need to see a super solid performance where both players are staying alive. They can't have that one-player type performance where Jerome comes out of nowhere and then tries to make something happen. That was a save kind of situation where they're just trying to hold on, try to muster as many points as they can. I think realistically, I want to hear from you guys as well. What really is the game plan when you are down 254 points and the other team is still alive? Are you trying to strictly go for easy kills off the start or easy elims off the start? Or are you trying to target the team that exists just above you?
You have
Yes.
to. You have to target them. If I'm right now on
Look at
these
that.
blocks
Look at what Shotgun
looking at it,
said. Look at what Shotgun
I have
said.
to be watching out. Where is Techno and Ballistic at? Where are they going to be running to? I have to focus my attention on them because if I don't eliminate them first blood, they could survive and get points in order to stay in first. You got to target them. This initial is going to be huge.
Oh, it absolutely is. They've got to be very careful. And Technoblade already coming out and manages to find an axe and ends up going for the first blood. I love bridges. The team names are only going to continue as they are getting interesting. And this might be good sister number 8, number 3. It is going to be James Charles, I believe. That is team number 1, trying to stay alive, trying to escape. And just like that, 20 more points to make this one more insurmountable.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot 9.
It is. Ballistic Squid is geared up. Technoblade already adding 20 points to their total. That means they're already up around 1,000 points. This would be the comeback of all comebacks here.
Yeah.
Shotgun at the very beginning of the map, you saw, said everybody go after Techno.
And nobody did.
Trying to plead desperately. But instead, Techno just finds an axe and offs 2 people instantly. And now we're going to see, again, the shuffle occur.
Oh, Dan actually took down Log.Zip in that TNT play.
And look who Skeppy got.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Skeppy, like you said, oh my gosh,
Philza.
ends up taking down Philza. My goodness. Well, we're all somewhat depressed because we wanted to possibly see that secondary place position rise a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. The map is providing us with some lovely angles. So, I mean, hey, this all falls on Jerome's shoulders. I'm not sure where he's at right now, but he's got to put up a super solid performance just to make this one interesting. Down 270-plus points. KYR Speedy does take down Junkie Jankers. We're able to hop onto his perspective, but to no avail. Like we said, guys, we're starting to see a dominant performance, and my big question is, can we see Technoblade and Ballistic Squid not only just win this tournament, but also find their 5th game, which would be the record at Minecraft Monday?
You are watching history right now, potentially, folks. Shotgun Raids goes down. That's another big, strong team that's already taken down. You see Ant Venom and Captain Sparkles here, Captain Salty there in the corner. The name has been changed. I think it's been that way for a few games now. As we see Jerome go down to Skeppy.
No, Skeppy.
Skeppy playing spoiler right there, not even giving it a chance. I think that all but confirms that Technoblade and Ballistic Squid will be your winners. Now it's all about history for them. Can they get a new high score and a new win record? That's what it's all about right now.
Well, I think we know what code to be using, especially in that Fortnite shop. Code Laser. That's who we're going to be watching and seeing what he's going to be up to. And look at a convergence of players on the bridge. And Techno, so vicious. Pushing forward. He's already got top score in the game. A couple more to go. Well, Code Laser, fortunately, Skeppy takes him out. Skeppy, I got to say, despite it being nearly impossible for his team to come through and you know, even break top 3, I will say this. Skeppy has played phenomenally well throughout the day and a player that you kind of have to watch for continuing on with Minecraft Mondays because he is a solid player. We've seen him perform quite well. But in the end of the day, he is going to drop. Now, just going to be kind of chilling out until these chests are going to be refilled. And slowly but surely, more fights are going to go down.
My favorite part was that at this point, last broadcast, right, we were coming into that game number 9 where it already looked like a team was kind of in that driver's seat. We were looking and saying, "Oh my gosh, Skeppy, he's doing all this stuff,
Sure.
like he's hiding using the stone somewhat as an escape as Jay Schlett gets taken down." But now this game, he's slaying out everybody. Like in the last few games, he's gone from just basically hiding out, not doing anything, to literally being one of the most talented players, one of the most slay-heavy players in the entire tournament. So he's kind of my pick, I think, at this point in the game. There's a lot of people who've got to be rooting him on right now. If they want to see Technoblade and Ballistic Squid get taken down, surely it's going to come from that man. He's got to contribute in some way to take down this very, very talented duo.
Well, everybody talks about things like Game 6 Klay Thompson for an NBA reference there. Game 9, Skeppy always trying to do some good things, chasing after Grande right now. And like you said, Skeppy has had an amazing tournament.
Yep.
Wolfless had an amazing tournament as well. So there have been a lot of great individual performances right now as we see Skeppy running across the hills and snow to try to find another pick onto Grande, who you assume is going to run out of room to run eventually. But for right now, doing a pretty good job of avoiding it. I think they may get headed off there. That is a big mountain, though. Wow, I did not appreciate the scale of that thing.
And the zone is going to be right there. But this is big because you notice Skeppy does have a diamond in his possession. And if Grande has a couple himself, he'll be able to, kit up his armor, also be able to kit up his sword as well. Head over to the enchantment table, and you got yourself a game going on. And you might have Skeppy winning this, depending on if he gets. Oh, that is the wrong time to eat at that point, and he's going to lose his life. And man, what a time to take a snack break. But hey, you do get hungry whenever you run. I get it.
Going over toward Captain Salty, a.k.a. Captain Sparkle's got the best gear in the game. Was it only, I think, maybe a little bit of chainmail. Regardless, though, all iron for the most part. Pretty decent inventory filled with some TNT, some snacks on this journey. Going back for a few of these chests. My big question at this point, as Sidearms gets taken down by Ballistic Squid, is that who's going back toward the middle, right? That's where all the chests are. That's where you can start to find some good loot. That's also where the enchanting tables are. If I was a betting man, I'd say if there's any team that is in middle right now, or at least is tempting toward it, it would be Technoblade and Ballistic Squid. But no, they're not in middle at this moment. They're not too far away. And they don't actually have, at least for Technoblade, he doesn't even have a sword in his hotbar. So that quickly could change. But obviously an iron axe, not the worst thing, but surprised he does not have a diamond enchanted sword with diamond armor and everything else in the bookcase. But still, he's hanging out pretty well. And I'll be honest, I'm excited to see if they can continue on and maybe take their 5th game. But a little bit of a shaky moment right here for Skeppy. Thankfully, he decides to go and utilize that Ender Pearl and get out of dodge.
Very smart here. And, we've kind of seen when Vicstar and Pizza Hut last week were getting their wins, they were the ones that were always at the center. And so I think in our limited time casting Minecraft, we've kind of understood the flow of it, right? You go out, you get some picks at the beginning, you slowly but surely build up, and then you try to be the first team back to the center once you have something to go there for. And I think that's a great way of identifying which team is currently in control, as we see Skeppy still out for blood. 0 hearts left, just trying to run away. Decimal points will not get you far. Fitzy Fitz going down to Skeppy as well, who continues to have the most elims.
And I do want to highlight Techno, right? You did notice, like you said, his inventory wasn't the greatest. He wasn't going through and trying to get all the elims on the map. But you got to understand, he knew at this point in time, him dying early was going to be hugely disadvantageous for him, right? Him going down, obviously, he wouldn't have been able to acquire any points. But with that being said, he knows, hey, if I can just survive, get a pick here, get a pick there, maybe survive until, top 2, top 3, at least lock down 50 points this game, it's going to be impossible for anybody to catch us. Techno, as well as his partner Ballistic Squid, playing a very smart game overall. Not getting overzealous with the elims, and honestly, like I said, they're happy with 50 or 60 points. That's exactly what you need to do to secure first place, lock it down, and get the $10,000.
Okay. I think we all know who this is. I think we all have someone an idea who that was for the moment. I think that was Nepenthes based off the skin. It either was he or Nick 28T, but looking back toward the middle, so Mr. Sister M, I would think that's Mr. Savage, but based off the team that was there, I'm pretty sure that was Beijing Canadian because it was Lackland as well who was there. Captain Salty, unfortunately, just lost his teammate, Mr. Sparkles. Can he do some work? Can he take down Skeppy? But no, he just manages to escape. He actually utilizes the Ender Pearl and gets out of dodge. What a lovely play. He continues to use these Ender Pearls to fantastic usage. And if you're this moment, right, if you are Captain Sparkles at that position, you've got to be a little bit angry considering you literally just had him in your sights. You were trying to take down the man who just took down your comrade, not able to make it happen. And as we reference back, sword or not, Technoblade is going full out now with the axe. He's got it enchanted, and he's already looking toward the future at who will be his next victim.
Oh,
and
it's
unfortunately,
Skeppy.
it's going to be Skeppy.
Skeppy
Ooh, what a
hitting
play
on,
on the
the Ender
flank.
Pearl, right? And see, that's kind of the plays that Techno's been making all tournament long. And that's exactly what you need to do to be a champion such as himself.
going on?
I have no idea what this angle. And are we stuck in the zone? I think we might
Yeah,
be
I
stuck
think
in
they
the
are.
zone.
They're going to die in this house.
Yeah.
Good sisters, be great sisters, get out of here. Escape. Oh, they actually have golden apples.
I don't think they
Okay.
can open the door.
Why not? Is it a trap? Oh, and Captain Sparkles ended up getting taken down by laser, so laser
That's
beam.
the worst way to get out of the tournament. Oh, man. Let me out in the chat from Good Sister 1.
Oh, man. And Technoblade finally silences KYR Speedy and says, surely there's got to be a sword in here somewhere. And says, you know what? I got a better one. I'm going to go and rock the one that I got right now. So Code Laser, Mr. I'm so confused who this
How do I
team is. This is
teleport?
Team 20?
I like this. How do I teleport? Tell me. Quick.
I feel like it's Mr.
Gotta-
Savage, but
Gotta win
I'm so confused.
for clout.
I don't know who anybody is anymore. Everyone's changed their team names. I have no clue.
Good Sister slowly getting more desperate.
Oh, no.
They cannot get out, and I love the angry face reflecting his mood. How do I get out of here? Please help me. Look at the chat. I'm dying.
No.
Please. I can't breathe. Someone.
Top
Meanwhile,
5 saddest moments in
protect
Twitch
me.
history right
Back
there.
at the fight, meanwhile. Did he just try to go for a 360 with a
Meanwhile.
bow?
This man's not messing around. Technoblade is just too good. Like, literally. Way too good for anybody else. And I think Good Sister 1 unfortunately just got taken down and on low hearts. How do you have an extra gold apple? Props to Good Sister 2 for being here. Back to the fray. Technoblade, a 5th victory remains in the balance, right? This is a massive opportunity for them to maybe walk away with this matchup as we've got the bottom right. Golden apple being taken. Can Good Sister get to the circle? That would be a victory in my eyes.
Does not look like it.
It does not look like it at all, unfortunately. And there goes Ballistic Squid, last player, and Code Laser and Mr. Sister M take this matchup. I would tell you who that is. Not sure. I think is that Laser Beam? I don't know. Because Mr. Sister, whoever, I thought that was Savage earlier.
Yeah.
I have lost all knowledge,
Well,
which may not be a bad thing.
we do have knowledge on Technoblade, Ballistic Squid, phenomenal play style throughout this entire tournament. And I gotta say, yeah, they got a lot of hate in the chat, but I gotta, man, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? I mean, gotta say the players, those two, the duo, dominated the entire time. Not once did they fall out of first place. Nobody passed them up. They continue to dominate from game number 1 all the way through, and you have to respect that. Such a dominant Legend team, but if we do another week, they are for sure getting broken up, just like top players got broken up last time, because, man.
I don't know if it's a team that needs breaking up.
Are you what?
I think
Technoblade
it's-
Ballistic?
I think it's Techno. I think that he is the missing link here.
You think so?
I
Well,
think
to be
so.
fair, I mean, he picked up a lot of elims. Go back to what?
He is
game
the only
number-
2-time champion.
Well,
so-
go back to game number 8. He picked up like 12 elims just by himself. So to be fair, the man could slay out.
That's what they're saying. Like, I think we're both agreeing. We're just saying that, like, we think that the key factor to all the success, I think, is Technoblade. Like, no matter who you put him with, he is going to be a threat no matter what.
Sure.
And obviously, as we take a look at our final scorecard, I know this is 11 through 19. We do see Junkie Janker and Quackity kind of rounding things out. 256 overall score. You got to give him some credit in that particular situation. We've got Good Sisters everywhere, filling out 16th and 17th. Grande and Dolan Dark, 18th place. And I believe any other kind of points of emphasis? I know we got to see Think Noodles and Dan TDM have some good moments. They're going to go and round things out in 13th.
I think James Charles and PewDiePie, Good Sister 3 and I Love Bridges, 16th place, right?
Hey,
so
I mean,
that's
it's not last.
It's not last. Not so bad. Shout out to the sisters. both 1 and 2 for giving that protection.
And can I just say that they tied with their bodyguards?
Oh.
If that isn't sweet, I don't know what is.
That's
That
not
is-
bad.
That is squad goals right
Poetic.
there. That's for
Oh, wait,
sure.
that might not be
Shakespearean.
true anymore.
This may not be. As we take a look at our top 10, two teams.
What?
Wait. I'm confused. This didn't happen. Okay, this is a joke.
Yes.
Good Sister 3.
That is PewDiePie
I love
and
Bridges.
James Charles.
Hey,
Oh, there we go. Hey.
101,000.
Congratulations to Good Sister 3 and I Love Bridges.
Yeah.
So many points.
James
we
Charles.
all knew what the actual score was. They even got us here on the caster desk for a second. I was thinking, wait, did someone just manage to come in and sneak it out?
They went from 16th to how many more games were played in the span of time? James Charles, PewDiePie, I got to say, solid playing, 101,000 points. They definitely dominated this tournament. Technoblade Ballistic Squid had no
Not
chance.
good enough. No chance. I literally looked at that and I was like, wait, there are two teams who got in the thousands? And I look and I was like, okay, now we know what exactly occurred there. Props to all of those involved. But like we talked about Technoblade Ballistic Squid, they do end up winning this one in impressive fashion, right? They kind of, from start to finish, they were looking like a talented team. They tied the record from last week's, overall 4 victories, which is super, super impressive to find. And there was never really a duo that kind of contested them. Like last week, obviously, we saw Vicstar and Pizza Hut have some really good moments, and then they were later contested. Kind of throughout this one, we had like a few teams, but no one was really ever there to solidly contest them, to kind of be that next squadron where it was like, okay, you got to be able to. I know for a certain amount of time, it was like Jerome and Co. who were kind of up there, but they were never like winning a consistent amount of games to really kind of be that secondary team who was constantly contesting. It was a matter of just this team performing game after game after game from start to finish, right? They win 4 overall matches. You got to give some props to them. And for Technoblade for winning back-to-back Minecraft Monday tournaments.
And I appreciated the creativity we also saw from the players coming out with the strategy.
Yeah.
That top rope play was amazing from Lauren, right? Coming down, picking up the elims to end it off. Wolfless had some phenomenal plays too in game, 2 or 3, wherever he came through and was able to pick up at least 3 or 4 players off himself. Another fantastic week of Minecraft Monday. Loved being here. It's always a good time. It
absolutely is. And like we said, guys, I know we're going to be kind of closing things out, but before we kind of say our final goodbyes, any final comments, rather, about the tournament? How about this? What was our favorite moment throughout the entirety of the tournament? Like a certain play that kind of happened, maybe a placement that occurred. What was one thing that kind of stuck out in your guys' minds?
I think James Charles getting, the first elim was pretty awesome.
And on Captain Sparkles, too, which is a Minecraft
Captain
legend.
Sparkles, right. And then the banter that followed in the chat was pretty funny, I'd have to say. Wolfless getting that 3 or 4 piece at the end to catch the win, especially that early on in the tournament, was pretty awesome because at that time we didn't know who was going to take over first place, and we thought Techno as well as Ballistic Squid were going to be leading the way. But once we saw that, opened up a can of worms, we were kind of like, all right, well, maybe it's possible for just, the top 3 to just blow up. We don't know who's going to take it. What about you?
Well, Dan falling into the trap, which we
Yes.
slowly but surely watched. That was very tragic. All the people who fell victim to fire, to fall damage, to the water itself. The Mats were putting in work today. But I just got to say, seeing this level of dominance 2 weeks in a row, I know that that's a cop-out answer, but Techno is a very, here we go, I love this replay, falling in. You can see people in the chat, Techno actually laughing there as well, and there's nothing you can do going down there as Jerome gets one of the easier elims I'm sure that he's ever gotten. But Techno's a lot wealthier now than 2 weeks ago, and whenever you get to see that level of dominance 2 weeks in a row, that's always a treat.
It absolutely was, right? This overall dominance being displayed from Technoblade & Co. as he is a 2-time champion, this time with Ballistic Squid. A fantastic performance coming in from those boys as they are your champions. Like we said, guys, we want to give a huge thank you to you for watching Minecraft Monday week number 2. Along with that, we also have to give a huge thanks to Keemstar and Cosmic Skyblock. You can feel free to follow Cosmic Skyblock on Twitter at Cosmic Skyblock. So massive thank you to them for help providing the prize pool and for making this event possible, of course, along with Keemstar, who gets everybody together, gets all the personalities together, along with guys like Vicstar and Beijing Canadian, everyone who's involved with this tournament. We want to give a massive thank you to you guys. But like we said, that's going to do it for Minecraft Monday week number 2. We saw a defending champion hold on to his title and still remains as one of the best, if not the best player currently in the survival games. Mr. Technoblade is still holding on strong, and I cannot wait to see what he can try to accomplish in week number 3. But like we said, guys, that's going to do it here from us, from Reflections, Nine-Hole Grains, and the entire UMG studio. I am Landon Lano Sanders, signing off for the final time, saying thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.